Okay, I believe that we are starting right now. As always, YouTube is very surreptitious in how it lets me know that we are starting, but I believe we have finally started. Everybody, welcome to another episode of Break the Rules. I'm your host, Lev Polyakov, and I am hearing my own audio on some stupid window that I'm going to have to close. So, do you have an idea what it's like to listen to your own voice at the same time? Here, I'm going to take this off. I'm not going to listen to my own voice. Anyway, guys, I'm going to figure out where their other window is, and just letting you know, subscribe right now. Go to Break the Rules, subscribe. We're
Go to
the best, we're the greatest, we're constantly growing at a rate. I am going to find where that video is, and I am going to conquer it. But anyway, guys,
it's the
subscribe
DLive
and
website.
go to Patreon, patreon.com/breaktherules right
yeah,
now.
go to DLive.
Become a patron today. I love
At your
you
own
all.
peril.
You guys are the best. You guys are incredible. I love every single one of you, and I'm going to find that video. While I'm finding where that video is that's playing this stupid audio back, I want to announce the great panelists that we have in front of you, and I'm going to hear what they have to say after I figure out where that stupid window is. Starting with Bess. Cannabis, the great Cannabis. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And Verse is coming into the stream as well, so go for it, Cannabis.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name is Bess, but I work in the legal weed industry in Washington State, and people call me Cannabis. I own a digital marketing agency, and I also, I guess people would say I'm a social influencer, but I hate the term because I just kind of found myself in the position when I wanted to differentiate my cannabis photography from everything else that I do. I guess I'm super excited to be here, just talking about the pros and cons of cannabis legalization, drug legalization. For me, I'm also really passionate about fiscal issues. And so one thing that especially stands out in my eyes is with legalization, where is all the tax revenue going from it? And is government effectively using that money? I'll give you a hint. The answer is no. So I guess on that note, thanks for having me. And I'm excited to be on the panel with all the other people here as well.
I'm excited to have you here. And finally, I am not able to hear that stupid audio echoing. It was one of the windows I forgot to click on. Anyway, we have with us over here Martin K. coming in. Martin, how are you? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how, and I know you have a very big story as far as the your experience, not just with drugs, but also just with being around people who are on drugs. But before we get into that, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Martin, can you speak right now? If not, we are going to go to somebody else. Okay, let's go to Green Thumbs.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, Martin, go for it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a mid-30s guy from Oslo, Norway. I have worked with alcoholics and junkies for the last 13, 14 years. And I've taken drugs since I was like 13, 14. So, yeah, should be competent to speak about it.
Excellent. And, of course, we know the great Giovanni Panicietti, whose beautiful prints you can get if you become a $30 patron to patreon.com/breaktherules. And we have a newcomer here, Green Thumbs, Dave Jackson, Riffle87. So, Dave, you have a very interesting story as far as cannabis goes, but can you tell us a little bit about your position in cannabis regardless?
Well, I've been in cannabis my whole life. I'm a fifth-generation grower. I'm a four-time brain cancer survivor, exclusively to cannabis and cannabis products. I go above and beyond for every patient. It doesn't matter how big, how small, what scale they're at. I will go to their homes and help set up their medical grows themselves. I engineer and design to the point where when I walked into the first legal grow in Canada and ripped apart their master grower and their engineer and their designers, they hired me on the spot. And since 2014 up until about 4 months ago, I was the master grower for Canopy Growth Corp in Canada.
Nice. And
I also have 14 High Times cups.
Wow. And of course, we got the great Yakov, Liberty Lockdown, definitely legit, Hotep Sophia, and my main man, Versaloon, joining us today. And we also have one more person in the chat, but I don't want to dox them, so I want to make sure that they log in without using their real name if they don't want to. So anyway, guys, you know the drill. Please subscribe, yada, yada, yada. I think since we have a lot of cannabis-related people, cannabis could be a good subject to start us out on with. I personally have had experience with cannabis since around 2014 about. I started dabbling in it. I started vaporizing a lot. And I noticed that with certain things, it really helped me out, but with others, it didn't. So I want to first go to the subject of should it be legalized, not just medically, but recreationally. Since I think medically, we've seen a lot of breakthroughs like Green Thumbs is going to talk about. But when it comes to people being able to purchase it, what are the... Because I think there are going to be a lot of upsides that people could discuss, but let's start with the down. What are some of the downsides that you, Bess, may see, to play devil's advocate for a second?
Yeah. Ooh, I just hit my vape pen.
There we go. That's okay.
And it's a shameless plug, sun-grown, clean green certified. Only the best. And you should always know your grower, know what's going into your products that you're consuming. So on that note, whenever people say legalization, my first thought is no, we don't need legalization. We need decriminalization because this plant shouldn't have been illegal in the first place. And actually, when you look at the MORE Act, the act in America that our Congress just passed to try and legalize or decriminalize cannabis, what that bill does is it essentially creates a tax and then it puts the bill and the plant back into the power of the Justice Department. And in my opinion, I think the last people that should be in control of this plant, who has access to growing this plant, revenue from this plant, is the very government agency that for decades put people in prison for it. So I think that, people should be able to grow if they want to grow. In Washington state with legalization, they now made it so that in order to home grow, you have to get a medical license. But if I get a medical license, then I can't own a firearm. So, it's like, which right do I want? Well, for me, that's my Second Amendment right. But I think everybody should have the freedom to grow a plant. And with legalization, what's happening is you're, again, just putting it back into the power of the government.
Does anybody disagree with what Bet just said right now? No disagreement whatsoever.
Could I possibly add to it?
Of course, yeah, please do.
Another downfall of legalization is that then the government tends to pass out these licenses for sales. And the regulatory committees that are behind it tend to not look at any people like myself who try to open up dispensaries and try to help patients and try to have almost cost cannabis, which is for me about 40 to 60 cents a gram is my cost of production. So I try to charge like, $3 to $5 a gram if I can at a storefront. But
wait,
as soon
what?
as it became,
I just got hard.
What in the world? That is crazy. Jesus, I'm sorry.
I'll pull 11 and a half kilos out of a 5x10 grow tent. I do all high pressure aeroponics with all organic nutrients that I derive. I don't know. I grew up with weed, right? Like my dad, my brother, my grandfather, my great grandfather. It all started with Hemp for Victory, World War I.
How rich are you, bro?
Not at all. Not at all. How much money do these companies make that I go and try to help out? And I go in there, and every clause in every contract, there's one clause that I add, and that if I reduce your cost of production, you reduce the cost to patients. And that's my main thing. Recreational, fine. You want to smoke your weed, go smoke your weed. But a patient should not be paying fucking $16 a gram for fucking cannabis. I don't give a fuck. If you want to do it recreationally, go pay $16 a fucking gram. Other than that, just no. That's not a patient. That's bullshit.
Hotep Sophia's eyes are just bulging out of her. What's going on?
Because I'm in DC, even $16 a gram is unheard of. Totally, completely unheard of. That's just not. That is crazy, and I wish there were more people that had that sort of patient focus, because there's a lot of people who need it for all types of illnesses and stuff that could really help them, but it's just like sort of an impossible thing, and that's sort of a problem in DC too, because it's decriminalized, but you have to make sure you're not on federal property, because it's not decriminalized on federal property. So as you walk around the city or whatever, you have to know where to go in order to not have any sort of, a federal intervention. But that's a real huge problem in this whole region. It's like there's so much federal property that you really have to know where you are and know what's going on in order to make sure it's right. But your price per, I just never heard of anything like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Costs in California are similarly high.
Well, but again, with legalization, talking about high costs, part of that is attributed to taxes. In Washington State, I believe it's 37% in taxes tacked onto the product. So
16 is not the highest. When I started working for Tweed, before legalization even took effect, I was there at their open house to rip them apart and tell them they don't know fucking anything about cannabis. And I was right. Like, as soon as I got there, I was right. They had an 8-week grow schedule, from cutting clones being week 1 to dried/cured/ in patient's hands being week 8.
What?
How?
So it's like, what the fuck? And you guys have $360 million invested into this? Like, pick up a High Times. What the fuck? One High Times, and they would have grown better than that shit.
Can you guys tell me? Can you guys tell me what the difference is? Because ultimately, decriminalization versus legalization. Is it your belief that the state is going to not take their cut? I mean, it seems to me that
they don't in
DC. That was the whole point, really, for the state.
They don't in DC. They're only allowed to take donations. So in DC, the decriminalization literally means that there's no sales allowed.
Yeah, so but that's largely because the federal law remains. I strongly believe that if it gets decriminalized federally, every state will treat it as any other industry where they take and lay out their own regulations. I'm a libertarian. I don't want this to happen. I'm just saying it will.
That's the way Canada's been the whole time, because unlike the 50 odd different states of America that are completely at war with each other, we kind of just do what the fucking prime minister dictates. So we do that. So all of Canada's legal right now. The fiasco with it between decriminalization and legalization, like I said, is that then these mom and pop stores that try to open up like little corner store weed shops with like coffee and whatever, they're getting their fucking doors kicked in by the Gestapo wearing fucking badges, telling them that they're not allowed to. They're breaking bylaws.
That's almost every small business now.
Disgusting.
Like that's just the way it's going.
The ATF just rated polymer 80, and this is a huge thing just in general.
I'm still failing to see how weed can be made available to people like all over without giving the state its cut. And like I'm hearing the decriminalization bit, but I kind of agree.
It's not about not giving the state its cut. It's about the simple fact that right now that it's legal up in Canada, that I guarantee you that 90% of all the consumed cannabis is grown illegally, and that all of it is produced illegally, and all the money is then funneled into illegal means and illegal sources, which then is going into more illegal grows. Whereas if it's decriminalized, you have people that are able to open up a shop without having to invest millions of dollars just for the application to be processed. And then you can, and then you find out whether you get it or not. And then to fill that application, you have to have the facility. It has to be staffed. There has to be guards. There has to be people on site 24/7. There's so many fucking regulations that mom and pop shops can't do it. There's no organic growing in the commercial industry, with the exception of systems that I set up because I made organic nutrients viable on a commercial scale.
My personal belief. My personal belief is that whether it's decriminalized or made legal, you're going to, like, what you guys are actually critiquing is the regulatory bodies that rise naturally from the state.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to avoid that regardless of what gets rolled out. Obviously, I want it to be decriminalized or legalized. I don't really care as long as people aren't put in prison anymore. But ultimately, yes, I would love to see costs stay low. I would love to see them not have all these insane regulations that require the plant to then be sold for much higher dollar amounts just to
that's what happens with legalization. That's exactly what happens with legalization, because like right now in Canada, for instance, this is all I can speak to because I don't live in the States. Up here, there's like 16 or 18 legal growers. All of those growers are the only people that are allowed to supply all the cannabis to the different storefronts. Well, the company that I was just working for acquired like 12 of those licenses. So now that company is now in charge of 12 out of the 16 or 18 producers. And now they are dictating the market cost for all of the cannabis in the fucking stores. So there's no competition, no fucking, like, no feedback. And then when they're sitting there sending out thousands of pounds of irradiated cannabis that I personally told them that if they don't destroy enjoy. I'm going to quit. And then they're sending it out to be irradiated and then sending that to storefronts at $12 to $22 a gram. See, 16 is just the midway. There's grams up here in storefronts from legal producers that is $22 a gram, when I know, and I'm not supposed to say this because I'm breaching a bunch of contracts, that their actual cost of production is about $3 a gram.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. I'm not critiquing your stance. I'm just saying
standard markup is 2/3.
Yeah, no, I'm not critiquing anything of what you're saying. I'm just saying I don't think that it being decriminalized is going to prevent it. I hope I'm wrong though.
I guess the example I would like to say is like, you know, you can open a business for basically anything. It's not like you have to get a special, I mean, I guess I shouldn't even say that because regulatory licensing, but I think that anybody that wants to apply to own a cannabis business license should be able to get that, because that's part of why it's gotten so expensive to get into the industry, is that government has like put a cap on licenses. I know in some states it's, maybe 10 or 15. In Washington, we've got, a few hundred. But also I think people keep forgetting that, if we stop policing people for pot, if we let people out of jail for a plant, and also just the job creation, the economic revenue that's going to come from legalization and letting people do what they want, the government's naturally going to get their cut when people are paying taxes, when people are contributing to the economy and society. We don't need to let the federal government come and put a blanket 5-10% tax on it to then send that money to the DOJ to then shuffle around and get lost like they've already done in Washington State for $400 million a year.
I agree. They
or the 6,400 employees that got fired when the Gestapo went and kicked in all the non-legal dispensaries in Canada.
I think
that's infuriating.
The point I'm trying to make real quick is that I'm a mortgage broker in California. That was never criminal, but there's still licensure. There's still extraordinary taxes. It's still regulated. I'm still put out of work during lockdown. I mean, all of these issues, regardless of whether or not it's decriminalized or made legal, I think are going to be prevalent. So I'm just encouraging you guys to stay vigilant, not saying that, one is better than the other. I'm just saying, I think they're going to do this regardless, and you need to be prepared for it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I would like to make a comparison, because this sounds sort of like the restaurant industry. It's the same thing. Like before, you could just cook some food out of your house. This is maybe a Black community thing, but you'd have, dinners. People would just cook out of their house and they just sell the dinners. Then, the government got involved, and all of a sudden, even to do that at a church, you have to have all these licenses. You have to have a professional kitchen. You have to have food handlers, blah, 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 blah. And so one of the things that has been done is they have cottage food laws. So depending on what state you're in, it depends on what you can do. A lot of places won't allow straight up catering, but in certain states, you can bake and sell from your house. You could cook and sell from your house. Some states are more strict than others. I think that's probably a better model. Like if we're looking for an actual solution than comparing it to something, because the whole process of growing, there's two different problems. There's the problem of being able to grow, and then there's a problem of being able to sell. So even if you can sell legally somehow and pay the taxes, that still doesn't really deal with the issue of being able to grow. And a lot of people want control over their product. Like Beth said, you really need to know what it is you're consuming. And so that's sort of like, I think, the two sides of the problem. People don't look at it. So if it's decriminalized, then you don't have people getting in trouble for growing their own products. It could be small business, like an actual small business. You're just maybe grow for yourself as a medical patient or sell to friends or whatever. But when you have, even to do something as simple as that, you have to go through the government and you have to get licensed, and they want to know every single thing and all this other stuff. You can't even get that far. So it severely limits the impact that the product can have on somebody. But it's the same thing with baking. I mean, I bake, I have to look, okay, I want to move. What's the cottage laws in this state? Okay, what's the cottage laws in that state? Okay, so I need a house in this state. I need a house in that state. I'm gonna cook from here. I'm gonna sell from here. Like, it's the most insane thing. But
they're even going after lemonade. They're even going after lemonade stands in certain areas, right?
Yes,
what a country.
It's crazy. It highlights, like, I think what should be done here is to get the best like legislation you can to allow growing so people can grow their own, and then you encourage people to do exactly that and not pay, you know, the whatever big corporation is going to be in control of it. You pay your neighbor. That's what we should be doing. We have to normalize that and make that the thing to do in the culture. And I think that's the best way we can fight corporations.
I was
Man.
We
promised
need
that
a
there was going to
whiskey
be someone here
rebellion.
that I was
Sorry.
promised there was going to be someone here that thinks that drugs should be illegal.
I know,
Who are
right?
they so I can yell at them?
Oh,
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be
I
the
do,
comments.
but I
So
have a lot of background noise right now. I will.
Yeah, I'm not
once
necessarily a
that's gone, I will
drug guy, but I think they should be legalized and decriminalized completely. I mean, if we
Remove
can
all
live
of
in a
them.
society where alcohol and you think cigarettes, anything like that can be like you could buy that anywhere. And if you go into a local Target and buy that, you should be able to buy it anywhere.
That
Like,
is,
we should go all the way there to where you walk into your local Walmart and be like, yes, I'd like some of the marijuana, please.
I do think alcohol is like the perfect example. If alcohol is cool just because it's cultural, then a lot of things should be, because alcohol kills more than any.
Yeah. And if you look at the history of the prohibition and the chaos that was caused by that, and just the crime and the insanity, like making it into a taboo thing, like that's what caused all that.
Right. But my
What
point
needs to
with
happen is total decriminalization.
well, my point with that is that alcohol is the perfect example of what I'm describing. Whether you get decriminalization or legalization, you're going to have governmental bodies that swoop in to get their, you know, pound of flesh. And
Yeah, everybody wants their cut.
I don't think it's avoidable. I think that ultimately you'll still have, you know, speakeasies. If the taxes get so crazy, you'll have speakeasies for pot. You'll have speakeasies for
Smoke
booze.
easy.
Yeah, smoke easy. So
well, you're gonna have that if they keep everything locked down. People are already
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, here in Maryland, they've had tons of parties that have been broken up. These people have not stopped their living. They've been doing the same thing, which is why, I mean, expecting the government to do anything right, I think, is sort of like a mistake in general. Like, I think that we just have to ignore the government at this point. Like, I just don't understand, because no matter what, they're going to only make the rules that benefit them. So why not just try and figure out how to work around them?
hell yeah,
Well,
Sophia,
up in-
agorism, baby.
Up in Canada, what they did with the legalization was they ended up making it legal to grow 4 plants, but then they added these stupid, freaking ridiculous stipulations to the 4 plants. Is they said that they can't be above 4 feet tall, and that's the major stipulation, is that any plant above 4 feet tall. So if you're using like a 1.5 foot tall bucket, your plants can only be like 2.5 feet tall. It's like, it's just so stupid. The litigation behind it's just ridiculous. But medical patients like myself, I'm still allowed to grow my medical quantity, which for my dosing is actually around 370 plants. Which I don't currently grow anywhere close to that, because it's like, if I want clones or whatever, I always want to have that buffer. But yeah, just
By the way, we have some interesting comments here in the chat. So an earlier comment from Buff said, "Is there no one on the panel that is against drugs?" So just
I got
2
you.
hours.
Wait, all right.
Well,
I have some
I'm-
background noise,
Yeah,
but I'll
I
still
don't
talk on it
necessarily
real
like
quick.
drugs.
I'm
I can
not
jump-
necessarily
Depends
for
by I'm against it,
Iahausa,
but
like,
culturally,
legal.
maybe not.
Yeah,
in
I'm not really a
DC
drug
Yeah.
guy.
No,
like,
here's
in
the here's the
DC,
cringe.
they-
Let me pick up on what Gio said.
Here's the
It's
issue
a
with the.
cultural
Can you guys hear me?
Okay, yeah. So first verse, then Martin. Go for it, verse.
Here's the issue. They people often talk about from like a regulatory standpoint, or from like a, you know, like unnecessary, like non-violent criminal offenders, whatever, people getting locked up. And I get that, and that's all fine. I understand, and I also understand even from like historical standpoint, from like, oh, hemp was made illegal because they wanted to obviously have a monopoly over paper industry and things of that nature, and like clothing and whatever. There's a lot of like reasons why political reasons why these things happen. With that being said, there you have to understand from like a societal fabric state standpoint, allowing different substances to be legal changes like the public like social space, right? So for example, the reason why ultimately they allowed like alcohol to be illegal is because it creates these bars, and they're like social spaces that you couldn't like get rid of, right? But like when you start to make like those public facilities for like people getting shooting up, or if you start to legalize public spaces for like meth use, or for like various other psychedelics, you start to change the social fabric, and it starts to degrade the society on the whole, which is why they were made illegal on like that's one of the secondary reasons why they were made illegal to begin with. Now I understand, like, of all the drugs, like pot is probably like the least makes the least amount of issues on a societal level, right? I get that. That's why they're kind of just letting
You
them go
basically sold me on legalizing psychedelics.
now. No,
No,
me. I did?
Verse. I disagree. I think it's
Yeah,
the
if
most.
there's like a library
because
that
it's
you can go
acceptable.
to, it's a every planetarium now has fully just allowed psychedelics. Like you can just go in and do whatever you want to
Here's
do.
the thing:
No,
we talk about social
You're talking about like
degradation.
me, as in like
There's
my
a
threads are the ones
society.
who sold you.
No, just
Or
what
you're
you're
saying
saying right now.
Oh, right now
You're talking
no,
about like
cringe.
degradation of social fabric, and like I can't see. Like, first of all, I think psychedelics take you like they like reset your notions of society and culture, and it can be 50-50 whether it's a good or bad thing. But frankly, I can't see people's like perception and understanding of society being degraded any more than it is.
I think it definitely can be degraded more than it is. Consider that like the degradation has occurred with like maybe 5 to 10% of people have tried them, right? Like if everyone's on some MK Ultra schizo break and like deciding to like revamp all the rules of like the norms of society, yeah, things are going to get much worse. You don't need.
I think that's a large assumption.
You don't.
Everybody
learn them in
has
the 60s. You
access
don't
to the
need,
drugs
like,
now.
Wait, one at a time. Okay,
Yeah.
Dave, go.
No,
for it.
no, we have access, but most people don't.
Everybody has access to drugs now. Like everyone. It doesn't matter who the hell you are. You have a friend or a friend of a friend that you can get whatever the fuck you want.
Every town has a skate park.
But nobody
That's
is
still a
sitting
barrier.
here going
Still a
and
big
getting
barrier.
fucking completely messed up because of legal drugs. In any context. In Denmark, it didn't happen. In Norway, it didn't happen. In Sweden, it didn't happen. Down South America.
All right, so let's
So
first of all,
I think the problem
Wait, okay, let's go to
assumption.
It's not like once legal drugs become legal that then everybody starts using them. In fact, it allows the avenue for people to become educated about drugs. And it allows the avenue for drug education to be more informative and actually beneficial in education systems and so forth.
Well, let's go to Geo. Geo, you haven't spoken in a while, and then Bess.
No,
and then
well,
Verse.
I wanted Verse to finish, and then.
Okay, you're going to throw yours to
Well,
Verse then.
So I was gonna
Verse?
say.
Well, Verse
I was
and then
just gonna
Martin to hear what they have to say. Then I'll.
Yes.
So I was just gonna say in response to that, like, I understand that, like, when you legalize it on the whole, the overall use doesn't increase, like on like allegedly from like countries like Sweden, which are like homogenous and there's like 2 million people there, things like that. Those countries, there's been no evidence that they increase. But we're in a slightly different society. There's far more people, and also when it comes to like when you make drugs legal, there's more access for like. For example, like with kids who like it's a lot easier for kids to get alcohol, for example, because it's in stores. For like, I know everyone can get it, but most people don't get it. Like when it's not easily accessible, when people have to jump through hurdles,
it was easier for me to get weed or coke throughout high school than it was ever for me to get a 26er of liquor.
Scandinavia doesn't
This is
have
where like more
legal drugs
sensible
yet.
laws start to come
Not
into
even
play.
legal cannabis.
Sorry,
Wait,
what was
Martin?
In Scandinavia, we don't have legal cannabis yet. We have decriminalization, but not legalization. We
Yeah,
don't have any
legalization,
sales.
decriminalization. Like Portugal
And
decriminalized everything.
I don't
Super
think
low.
legalization will help us master any problems. I think it's just going to bring more regulations, more big corporations, big pharma into it. And as people said, on the cultural level, mostly. It's a degrading culture, degrading society, and letting loose drugs in that, I don't think it's a good idea.
I agree with this.
I want to go
government
to Alex the chemist, by the way.
I'm gonna finish.
Yes.
The government functions like sort of religion, God, and the rules and regulations are kind of the rituals in that, in many ways. And enforcing legalization through that will let loose a lot of the people that didn't want to go to that third, second-rate friend and say, I want drugs. So the barrier is low as is because you can always get, but there's still a barrier socially going through those people to get it. And if everybody's gonna live in their pods, eating bugs and taking drugs, watching
Ain't living in no
OnlyFans,
pod,
I don't
tell you
think that's
that.
gonna go very well.
Ain't no bugs.
Yes.
No pod for me.
I've been taking drugs my whole life.
Everyone will have their
And I've done
hydroponic,
drugs
will
my
have
whole
their
life.
German
I've been for
towers.
legalization my whole life, but I'm now against it. I'm for decriminalization for sure, but legalization I don't think is gonna work in modern Western paradigm.
I mean,
Yeah,
society is a lie
Alex,
agreed upon.
Alex the chemist, because he hasn't spoken yet. He was later on here in the stream, and I know you can't stay for a long time, Alex. So first, please tell us a little bit about yourself, and then what you think of the conversation right now, whether you agree with Martin about keeping it decriminalized, but not legalizing it for the societal problems he just laid out.
Yeah. First off, thank you very much for inviting me to join the conversation. I would absolutely love to come on when I have a little bit more time. So I'll say that. Background. So I've worked in the cannabis space for about 6 years now. Started off as a medical patient. Didn't really use cannabis growing up. Tried it a couple times, wasn't for me. Then when I was 29, I was dealing with major depression and anxiety, and I have ADD. So I was on a cocktail of different pharmaceuticals, SSRIs, anti-anxiety, and Adderall. And I was able to come off of this using cannabis just as a symptom management. And it allowed me to, tackle my anxiety and really open me up in different ways. Then after about 5 years in the cannabis industry, I've worked in extractions. I've been to conferences where I speak about the science of cannabis on stage and presentations. I absolutely love the science of cannabis. I love talking about it, especially like the pharmacology, the receptor ligand interactions, and like what happens inside the neuron, and try and give like an understanding of maybe what's happening of the entourage effect within the body, because we all experience it phenomenologically, but what's actually happening on the receptor level. So that was a primary interest in cannabis. I've since now moved over to largely, I haven't exited, but like largely moved over to Psychedelics, where I'm the chief research officer of Haven Life. It's a psychedelics company here in Vancouver, BC, up in Canada. And we are focused on creating a supply chain for legal psilocybin to create formulations in the raw form. Basically whatever is required by studies, hopefully doctor prescriptions once they get authorization. Up here in Canada, TheraSil has been doing a lot of really good work, helping with what are called Section 56 exemptions for medical purposes to allow patients access to psilocybin in kind of like one-off treatments. We're hoping that that's really going to allow for a class of medical patients and kind of follow suit, similar to cannabis and how its medicalization opened up. And as for the conversation, I think it's a very interesting conversation to have. And I like hearing people who either were for legalization and they're kind of questioning that, or were against legalization and kind of questioning that, because I think, that's where a good discussion can be had. My thoughts are, you have to kind of look at what the reality is on the ground. I live in Vancouver. The downtown east side is wrought with opioid addiction, all kinds of drug addictions, and especially now with COVID, the supply lines have been cut. So there's a lot of danger and damage. There's a lot more overdoses due to bad drug supply. So when I think about drug safety and what should be allowed on a societal level, I think that there's a problem here. People are using, and we need to find a way to decriminalize and regulate. Whether it's a full laissez-faire legalization, I don't know if I'm up for that. I think there should be some regulations in place, but largely I think I'm for opening up access to all medicines, all drugs.
So can I respond?
Go for it.
I think on the whole, I think you have most of I agree with most of what you're saying. Like I historically have always been very pro legalization, but with looking at the ways in which drugs that we have things that have previously been illegal that are now legalized and now also promoted, I can see the way this might play out with respect to other substances. So, for example, look at the way that alcohol was made illegal, and now it's been legalized, and now it's just pretty common, and also like a joke that there's a ton of middle-aged women or just people in general with just basic alcoholism. That's just like a joke now that people just throw away. Like, oh, what are you gonna do after work? I'm gonna have a bottle of wine every day. Like that's funny now.
Cool.
Or like pornography. Pornography used to be snuff, and it was illegal. Now it's legalized, and now it's just kind of funny that 8-year-olds are addicted to pornography. That's just okay now. It's acceptable. And it's like,
I don't know about that.
No, I mean, that's like a study. Most people have seen pornography before the age of 12. like 80% of kids nowadays.
I
anyway,
think that's true.
I'm not done yet.
But all
So
these
then
things
there's
You
also
also
the
guys,
other
you
side.
guys didn't wander out in the woods and find a big pile of Playboys?
No,
Oh, yes, we
actually,
did.
no. I mean, I know that existed.
That's where you
but don't
find them.
really yeah, I know that existed because I mean, like I'm
Or in
like
the front of
slightly older, I'm a
churches.
millennial.
Everybody
And
found
I know that you could
Playboys
find
in
the
the woods.
magazines, but it's not the same as I now have a dopamine addiction because of the novelty seeking of like Pornhub. Like as a 12-year-old, now like my relationship are thrown off. Like there's a big difference. In what
No, they're
happens when
getting
you
dopamine
realize.
addictions from staring at fucking smartphones from the age of 5, from their parents sticking tablets in front of their faces. If you want to talk about dopamine,
Comparing this all to
No, that is true.
psychedelics is a
Social
little
media
weird
is
to me.
Very true.
And then we open up
No,
for
I think it's
self-medication through legal drugs.
Psychedelics aren't even like inherently pleasurable. I can go.
Well,
all
we're
sorts
gonna
of it.
No,
Yeah,
no,
you
but
can
here's
have
the,
a
here's the
bad
thing.
trip.
This is why
We're gonna get to psychedelics a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll get-
First,
Can I add
Hotep
something?
Sophia, go for it,
I
and then
think it-
Gio.
I think it's a good comparison because the problem with most drugs is that people get addicted to them. We're talking about the possibility of people getting addicted. And so when you're talking about that, you have to look at all the other things that people are addicted to. And then you have to see also, I mean, it should be some consideration taken to why people want these things to be available. What I was going to say earlier is in DC, they just legalized everything. And like, I don't know why people need to use iHausa. Like, I don't. Like, I understand if you're going to do it as a spiritual thing, but it needs to be done under very, very close supervision because it's extremely dangerous. So legalizing that is not quite the same as like mushrooms or weed, but it still can have these type of effects that you don't know. And so I'm not necessarily, again, I like to leave the legalization out of it just so the government can just stay out of it. I don't want the government to tell me one way or another what I should do. But so maybe decriminalization, but this whole like letting the government decide what is acceptable and what is not has really gotten us into the problems that we're in now. Because people used to do all types of stuff back in the day and nobody said anything. It was just something you did in your house. But then once the government decides to get involved, I think you just have a totally different set of circumstances that have to be sort of considered. But I definitely see, you know, when you're looking at the whole pornography issue compared to like a weed issue, it's kind of like the dopamine thing is a huge thing. I also don't like cell phones with kids and tablets and stuff for kids either, for the same reason I wouldn't want my 13-year-old smoking.
Yeah, and I also like to point out that like I'm actually pro, even though I don't know if I would call it like these drugs like medicinal personally. I know that there are definitely like therapeutic qualities, and I'm not just debating that whatsoever.
Well, Dave could talk about that some more.
No, I know, but I don't like the term medicinal. It's just is the only thing. Yeah. I agree. Like I know that I've personally used shrooms for depression. I know that there's like iboga. Like I know like, there are legitimate therapeutic qualities for a lot of these drugs that are like secondary. So I am 100% in support. I think you should be able to experiment, and then you might find legitimate purposes for all of them. So I'm actually 100% pro medical, and it's basically going to be federally passed because 36 states now have it passed for medical marijuana. But I do think that making it legal and then it creates a culture of promotion that people are not ready to deal with. Like they're not. People underestimate what happens when you take something from just being decriminalized and transition it into legalization. Like the amount of people who, again, are like who develop these psychological dependencies on these substances is astronomical. And once it's legalized, people just forget that it's a drug. They just go, "Oh, this is normal," and we don't need that to be a new normal. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, what if it was ended up
about what I experienced in Seattle and just the shit show that I just left, because we in Seattle did the giant social experiment of decriminalizing hard drugs up to 5 grams. And so apparently the dealers just were carrying less of the amount to be within the legal limit. And my office was in this area called Pioneer Square that was like a beautiful historic part of downtown Seattle that has just been run over by, I mean, drug use. Every day there was like human poop on my building. The city of Seattle taxpayers, unfortunately, are funding about 5 million needles a year in the needle exchange program, but it's not an exchange program. You're just giving out free syringes to people, and they're leaving them on the sidewalks, in the children's park play areas, in the community gardens where people are like shooting photos, so there are a lot of unintended consequences. And even the homeless people that I became friends with my 2 years that I was at my office, they said that the issue has gotten so bad with the homelessness that they said, unless we show up to a shelter with 2 syringes in our arms, overdosing to death, the city doesn't care about us. And we spend now $1 billion a year in King County alone on the homeless issue. And a lot of it isn't just a homeless issue. It is an addiction issue, a drug issue, and so how have some of these policies just like perpetuated the problem?
But decriminalization.
Again, I'm not like, oh, sorry, you can go.
I was just going to say that, decriminalization in these cities is relatively new, and it occurred largely because they were already overrun with drug overdoses. They were already overrun with addicts and homelessness and all these other issues. I think a lot of what you are describing and what Verse is describing are issues that were brought about by the coddling of the Americans. Like or anywhere that these drugs have been made illegal, people have been taught that, like, oh, if it's legal, it's okay for me. The OxyContin overdoses is a very good example of people not taking seriously, or when they hear the FDA say, "Oh, this has medical properties," and your doctor prescribes it to you, they take it until they die, and they get addicted before they even know it. So these issues, I think, what you guys are describing is actually the ramifications of prohibition. It takes an extrapolation to actually identify that, but it is a very real issue in that people give up on their own self-control, and they rely on the state to tell them what's okay and what's not. And ultimately, I think that you're going to have to rip this Band-Aid off eventually. Putting people in prison because they like these drugs, I don't think is a long-term solution, and I hope we can all agree on that at least.
Well,
no, I agree with that, but I don't think that you don't need to ignore.
Yeah, locking people up.
One second at a time. Everybody's speaking all at once. So here's how we're gonna do this. I'm gonna have to step in right now and just go this person, then that person, that person, just so we are not speaking on top of each other. But one comment that was made recently by Bulat Usmanov, I like saying that name because it's Russian and I like the way it sounds, is a simple question. I don't think he means question. I think he means 2 propositions here. Proposition 1, completely legalize drugs and no welfare. 2, social safety net and drugs illegal. So I know Liberty Lockdown, from what I understand, you're libertarian, and I'm not sure how in favor you are of having the welfare state, but there is this idea of
I think you do know how.
Yes, I'm assuming. So if people take things into their own hands, then we may have more of a society, like more of a community that kind of makes sure that their kids are not going to be taking this stuff, and that they're going to, start a family and look out for everybody in the neighborhood and things like that. At least I assume that that's what's going to happen. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. I think that the issue is that the state has removed societal responsibility. And not only that, but it's also made it so that we can't afford to fucking help our friends, neighbors, everything else. I mean, I'm a pretty wealthy guy, but I pay an insane amount in taxes, and I could help a lot more people in my family if I weren't. I think that the same extrapolated out, you have all the people across the country that have neighbors and family members that are dying from overdoses or dying from addiction, but we're all working, to our bones just to try and survive because of the Federal Reserve policy and the taxation in this country. I think that ultimately it requires really revolutionary change to address this issue. It's not a single one-off, oh, you legalize it and all of a sudden, drug overdoses are gone and you don't have criminals and homelessness issues. Like, this is a long-term issue, and it's going to require really deep changes in society for us to address it. And I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but if you want to make it a simple answer as to where this issue arises, it is the state. And it is the government that's made this illegal and created this issue over decades. And now we have, the most people incarcerated of any country on earth. It's a sickness. And we have to address that sickness before we can address the addiction sickness, in my opinion.
That is well said, although we do have a comment from Buff. Please, no libertarian monologue. So there we go.
If there's ever a time for it, it's probably in this conversation.
I was asked, man. I was asked.
Oh,
no, I understand.
What are libertarians without their monologues? They need it.
Exactly. So
that
we
to
have
me
a
sounds more
outlaw.
like a treatment problem, not a drug legalization problem. Your treatment shouldn't cost you, $500,000. That's the problem.
I agree with that.
Yeah, if
So we
somebody's
have
got that
Outlaw
kind of
Prime.
issue.
We have Outlaw Prime coming in here, and we have Jugs. So Jugs, I wanted
Jugs.
you to quickly. I wanted you to quickly touch on
Hey,
the
Jugs.
needle exchange or whatever's going on in the
Jugs.
area you mentioned, and you were saying something's not quite right there.
Right. So I'm talking about Kensington, Philadelphia, Fishtown, Kensington area. It's a notoriously bad part of Philadelphia. And I know a bunch of people who are straight edge, of all people who want to throw their hat into this ring, advocate for safe injection sites and harm reduction. And there's a photographer. I'll try and see if I can find some of the pictures that he took. And they're pure horror of what's going on in there. Even after like the safe injection sites have been put in place, what you see now are massive amounts of needles on the ground, like massive amounts of needles on the ground, not even just in Kensington and the bad areas. I'm talking about throughout Philadelphia. So one of the pictures is so horrifying. It's a picture of a pregnant woman with the huge abscesses all over her arms.
Ooh.
Marks.
Really, really scary stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about safe injection sites and the goodness of them or how effective they really are. I've yet to be proven that they're good.
Can we just go back to like laudanum? It's got to be safer, right?
I mean, it sounds like to me
true.
the issue is that the state needs to hire a needle janitor, somebody whose job it is to go around at 4 a.m. every morning, and they just go around to parks and all the places and they clean up needles.
And
Like, there's your problem. Great jobs.
More
I
Jannies.
don't want my taxes.
I am a needle
Here's
Janny.
the only issue.
That's my
though.
job.
Do you
Why
want
don't
to? Do you want to volunteer to
their
be the
off
needle
time?
Janny for Philadelphia? Is that what you're saying?
If there's an
You wanna
amount
start
of
the
money
Needle
in it,
Janny
I would
Coalition?
consider it.
Really?
It'll be like a masochistic needle Janny.
You tell
like
me
from,
that needle janitor is $100,000 a year job?
Oh,
I think there'll be a
definitely
lot
Yeah,
of
but
people
also you
lining
get
up to be
AIDS.
needle
It's like a
janitors.
Well, you have to
Yeah.
have hazard pay if you.
To be honest, we have that in DC. We have the different downtown areas. They have people that all they do is go around and pick up trash and pick up stuff so that the government workers
Needleman,
don't have to
needleman,
come into
get your needles.
contact with it. So we already have that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not. Here's the thing. I understand, like, on an idealistic level, that we want to like say, okay, the government is too involved, so we should legalize it because the government ruins everything. And I agree with that for the
Oh
most
yeah,
part.
government
But
ruins
you have to
everything.
understand. It does, but you have to understand, like, the damage has already been done. We're already a
Jenny.
state of like children who need like a nanny state. So you can't, if you legalize these drugs, people aren't going to all of a sudden get educated now and start deciding that, oh, it's legal, it's not bad for me.
So if
No,
they're
that's
not
gonna
gonna
happen.
do that, then why are they gonna all of a sudden just start using these drugs?
Yeah, at what
because
point
it's
does somebody have
available.
personal
People
choice?
can't-
Like, so
in
everybody should
America
know
specifically.
not to go snorting pills. Like, they should have that in
No,
their
they
head going,
don't.
you know what, snorting pills, that's
People
a
can't
lifestyle.
cope.
been
It
around
also comes from a
people-
lack of identity and a
know.
lack of community. That's why young kids
Have
are
you been
using
around
drugs.
anyone have you been around anyone under the age
Well,
of 30?
now
Put
I
everything
think
in
it's.
them.
Oh, but this is what
okay,
I
okay,
wanted
okay.
to talk about.
All right, Gio, you go, and then I'm going to go to Martin K because he is very well versed in this subject, having to be with a lot of people who are under a lot of drug
I am
abuse.
an actual needle Janny, so yes, I am.
Yeah, there we go. But first, Gio, go for it, and then I'm going to turn to Martin.
Like, in terms of legalization, like about people on the streets, like that's really the chicken and the egg in terms of what caused what mental illness in combination with hard drug use. And the government does make, I mean, let's face it, these things aren't going to happen because the CIA makes far too much money on like fentanyl that comes in from Wuhan, China, to really do anything about it. So people are going to rot away in the inner cities. But I mean, specifically, we started off talking about marijuana. Having done psychedelics and weed, I feel that these things in the hands of normies are quite dangerous, and that if anything, we should be more restrictive, and that we can, like, I mean, the average person that treats these entheogens like they're, I don't know, a fun trip for a few hours, to me, that's concerning. To me, I'm totally against the, like, Timothy Leary, we should put it in the water supply attitude towards these things. But in terms
Gio, how
of,
could we possibly be more restrictive?
No, but I mean, there is, of course, medical use and all of that, but I feel that...
You mean on a societal level, be more restrictive?
Yeah, I personally think, of course, that legalization, I mean, sorry, like the criminalization of like putting people in jail for marijuana is of course ridiculous, but at the same time, it's more of a cultural issue where, being in Canada myself, it seems to be like the millennial religion of like being a pothead is somehow a personality for a lot of people. So I feel that in a way we're seeing the difference between an older form of biopower and a newer form of biopower, because now governments are getting hip to the fact that having certain drugs legalized in some ways are quite better for the placation of younger people and the animating spirit of most people than to have other drugs in the past that were stimulants. Notice how they're demonizing stimulants. Not to say that we should go back to smoking tobacco, but in the one sense, society has always been intimately linked since ancient times with the substances that they consume. So when you sort of create an environment where it's cool and it's hip to have drugs that placate you behaviorally, but also mentally and so forth, I feel that that's a problem. Like, put it this way, I kind of think, as crazy as this sounds, cokeheads have probably been more productive in a lot of sectors than people who consume other drugs. But that being said,
Gio, you are also
I'm separating the legal issue from like what I see culturally, especially here in Canada. I think that like marijuana legalization is inevitable, obviously, but I feel that when you have a whole society of people that want to tune out, I don't know, I'm skeptical of a lot of the claims that people have in terms of its psychological benefit, because the people that I know who are chronic, it seems there's almost like this weird dependence verging on a religious fervor. And so that's just me being honest. Not to say I'm a saint. I've done,
I gotta chime in
I
on
smoked
that
weed and all of that myself.
And also Bess.
Same thing, Bess.
So Bess, you're gonna chime in, and then Martin.
Sorry to offend people. I'm just.
But before that, I wanted to introduce everybody to a post that Gio did. Then we're gonna go to Bess. Then we're gonna go to Martin. So here, opium, not as lethal. Peak den aesthetics produces clarity and thought favored by all creative types. Yes, so there we go.
We need. That's another thing too. We need old school raw opium instead of fentanyl, instead of heroin. That's what we need. Right now.
I have a story.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to be Mr. Moderator here. Verse, we're going to get your story after Martin, but Martin, we're going to get to you after Bess. So Bess, go for it.
Real quick, I just wanted to say that for me, cannabis has been something that has enhanced experiences. I know there's definitely the stereotype of like the lazy stoner, but cannabis is actually a bronchial dilator, which means it opens your airways. So for me, I use cannabis to enhance my workouts. I love to take dabs and go to dance class. I'll smoke my vape pen and go run like 5 miles. I like to get really high and go ice skating some of these activities, obviously pre-COVID lockdowns. But for me, cannabis has like enhanced experiences. I don't want to say it motivates me, but it just, like for me, when I'm working out, it helps my breathing. I don't know. It helps me feel my body more. So I think it's really.
Can I ask a question?
The plant.
That's what Rob Van Dam.
Can I ask a question? What age did you start smoking weed?
What age did I start smoking weed? I think I smoked for the first time when I was 17, but I didn't really smoke a lot then because I was like on dance team and didn't want to get in trouble. But it wasn't until probably I was like 24, 25, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I was doing marketing research. I was working like insane hours, super stressed. And I started smoking cannabis as a way to unwind at the end of my day. And I would smoke weed and I would run the Venice boardwalk. And there was like a couple times where I felt like I was like in a Nike commercial where I would like be high and I had my headphones on. I was like dodging all the people and like sprinting out to the boardwalk at sunset and just like feeling so connected to the universe and myself and everything. And it really was like that moment that I realized it's not about getting high. It's about like, using it to enhance.
And I knew that you started smoking in the mid-20s because this is a very common theme I'm seeing. I actually spoke about this in my podcast literally yesterday. I've never met a person who has that effect where they're like, oh, I want to go work out. I want to do that, who started smoking when they were like 14. And like regularly, it's always someone who starts smoking after their brain has developed.
I am that guy.
After their brain has developed, I see it 90% of the time. Someone's like, "Oh, it helps like enhance things." if they
I
started
used to love
smoking in their like
working out,
teenage years,
and
it's
I
very
started
rare.
smoking when I was 13, and
And that
I'm
happens.
productive
I
as
do
hell
agree.
when I'm stoned.
And
And
I've
it's
seen
also-
it, but
it's also a
far
causation-
more rare.
It's also
Far
a
more rare.
causation versus correlation argument. I mean, oftentimes you have people that use drugs young or dealing with serious issues. So I don't think that you can extrapolate that out to say like, oh, just because you started when you were 13, that's why you're a fuck up. Like you were probably
No, I'm not
a fuck
saying
up,
that.
You know,
I am a fuck up also, by the way.
But here's the thing. We know for a
It's about
fact,
brain
like, with empirical
development.
studies,
Yeah,
that if
for
you
sure.
start early, there's far more issues with pot. It's not like pot is
Well, because
almost
the chemical,
100%.
your
Zero,
brain's
it has like
chemistry's still
0%
developing.
of it's almost entirely harmless if you start as an adult. Like there's literally no side effects. If you start as a kid, there's higher onset of schizophrenia. There's a lot of like lower IQ. There's a lot of actual like confirmed
Based.
issues if you start young. And I've
It's because
seen
they're not
people start
sitting
young. And,
enough.
So
Yeah,
I
right.
know a
It's
lot
not
of
Scythian,
people
huh?
that started
Wait,
young. They don't really
Reggie,
have
did the
that
Scythians have
problem,
weed,
I
by the
think.
way?
They don't
They
necessarily.
did.
What I'm saying, it's just association. It's a higher
Well, no,
risk.
they did have weed, but I want to get
They
to
did,
Martin
yeah.
right now. And before that, we have a very nice comment. Let me scroll up so I could find it here. So this is the equivalent of what they did in King of the Hill when Hank forced Bobby to smoke all those packs of cigarettes. So over here, persona
Classic
non
moment.
grata says drug copers should get all the heroin they want. They get locked up in the house until it's all gone. Simple as.
Right.
I mean,
That
the
was
thing
like
about
what Judge
legalizing
Judy
it
said
is,
once.
I picture people that are going to do too much. Like within the first like month, they're gone, and it's a sad thing to think that people are going to die that way. But like, if they're going to do it, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't see any loss really, to be honest.
Like
All
if
right,
they
yeah,
if they have
we
the
can do the
means to
acceleration
get it
version
and
too.
do
I'm okay
it.
with that.
Heroin
Martin,
acceleration is.
Whereas
gotta
you
get
think
to
about the guy
Martin.
who wants to do his
We-
pills and go to work all day, like those are two very different people.
Yeah,
He's
but the
like,
problem,
I
like-
need this to get through the day, and then I come home and I get fucked up after the kids go to bed. It's two very
I'm okay
different
with that.
characters.
We can do
No, but like
acceleration.
Let's get him out.
Jugs mentioned the safe injection sites.
And
I
I
think-
did send Lev. I sent you those pictures in Sushi
Oh,
Bar.
let me take a look.
Maybe I should. Well, Jug, send me them. Maybe I could paint one of them because I have this. I had this idea
Oh.
of painting the kids.
I'll send you the Instagram of what it's from. It's got an Instagram
Yeah.
called Kensington Beach.
There was that one where the
And
two
it
parents
focuses
were
on
all,
McPherson Square and Kensington, which they now call like Needle Square or something like that.
There was that
Ooh,
one where the
that.
kids in the back of the car and their the two parents were all heroined out in the front. Do you remember that one? That was another brutal
Yeah.
one. But no, you mentioned
that's where they're getting all needles. They're getting them from needle exchanges.
A
And safe
situation
injection
like that
No, but I
could
think the
easily
problem
be
with-
alcohol too.
True.
yeah.
Same exact situation.
I think the
Needle
problem with
safe
the injection sites is that,
weren't-
like in Canada, the guy who runs it, what's his name, Gabor
Mate.
Mate, yeah, that does the psychedelic research. I think he said like the problem is that they don't filter a lot of those people into programs that could help them, but rather they're just using it to give out clean needles. And yes, it preserves life, but at the same time, I feel it feels really kind of like the government's just enabling them. I don't know. I feel that if they had a better way to filter them into drug rehabilitation programs by the safe injection sites, then maybe that could be an argument for their use. But
I mean,
But it was
what-
because we didn't have those programs to filter them into those into rehabs and shit that the safe injection sites became mandatory, because that's why our streets, like in Hastings and so forth, were just littered with HIV and hep and everything else. And now that transmission has receded dramatically. I understand that there's needle wrappers here and that people don't like the type of people that are around these safe injection sites, but the safe injection sites are just that. They're safe injection sites. They're not meant as drug prevention sites. They're not meant as information sites. They're not meant as rehab facility sites. They're not meant as any of that. And they don't get funding for any of that. They get
I get what you're saying with that, but I'm saying, like, if you look at this Instagram, they're finding hundreds, thousands of needles on the ground in Philadelphia where kids also live. So is that right? Should we? It's
kids also
littering
live
also.
I
So
mean, there
should we be doing that?
There should be like in a hospital how they have the containers for just sharps. There should be trash cans right
But that's
outside
the problem.
door.
They give them out the needles
They do.
because
They
they
do
can't
in
trust these
Canada.
drug
More of a
addicts to come
management
in and
problem.
just shoot
Yeah,
up
then
dope
that's the
inside the
problem.
I mean,
safe
there used to be a
injection
time.
site.
There used to be a
in
time when
general,
we used to force people against their will. If they were crazy, we'd lock them in the loony bin. Obviously, there are problems to doing that, which I know.
we need to
very
bring
well
that back in some ways.
Well,
but not
hold
think
on.
so
I mean,
too.
Yes,
in the
we do.
USSR, like
You
I
gotta
was saying,
do forced rehabilitation. That's the only
the
thing
U-
that works. for sure.
Well, let's get to that, actually. Martin, this is perfect, but I did want to say real quick that in the USSR, they used to do that for government dissidents. They used to lock them up in loony bins and then force feed them drugs to fuck around with their brain. But
Yeah,
that's a whole other thing.
lobotomy and all the things. Yeah, but
So, Martin, go for it. It's
I
your
just-
time to shine. Oh, yes, Alex.
Oh,
Sorry, I just
I
want
had
to say
like
I do
10
have to
trains
go.
of thoughts since
Oh, hold on.
was
Alex
going
has to
speak,
go.
but still.
Alex has to go. So, Alex, say your
Alex, go
final
first.
words.
Yeah, sorry,
Yes.
sorry, Martin. I'm actually very interested
No
to
problem.
hear your thought on that, but I'd like to continue the conversation another time. I had a really great time. Just a very quick thing. I really do think that safe injection sites, it's a management problem, not a fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is they need to have access to these, or else HIV, Hep C, other diseases do proliferate. But how we manage the waste afterwards is what I think the conversation should be put towards, in my own personal opinion. Hey, look, guys, thank you so much for the conversation. I really wish I could stay longer. Please invite me back. I would love to.
I would love
continue.
to.
Yeah,
So it's-
absolutely.
Great to see you, man.
See
I
ya.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. So,
So
and
we can
guys,
just
don't
let
forget
the
to
waste
subscribe.
pile up.
Don't forget to subscribe. I gotta say this. Don't forget to
Subscribe.
subscribe. Subscribe right now.
Patreon.
Damn it,
Let's
subscribe
break the
this
rules
instant.
over on YouTube. Everybody like
Exactly.
and subscribe.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That,
Okay,
hit
so
that thumbs
break
up.
the
Hit the
rules.
bell.
Let's
Hit the
subscribe.
bell.
Smash
the
like.
thumbs up.
Smash like.
Smash like. Smash the
Inject
like
that
button.
like
Smash
button.
it!
Okay, Martin K.
Make sure to
it is
get
your,
that bell on.
It is
Okay,
your
time
time
for
to
the news
shine.
janitor to shine.
Yes.
Yeah, tell me
As
all
I
about
said,
the
I work at
needle
a
tanning.
so-called rehab facility. It's basically just newspeak for storage of society's most fucked up people. What you're describing from all major cities all over the West is the same problem. People are getting broken from childhood, broken homes, sexual experiences, abuse, molesting, everything, school, and sooner or later the brain pops out and they end up in a spiral when they find drugs, the culture, the environment do that and go away from society. And you see it all over the West. It's just increasing. Homelessness, drug abuse, downtowns full of needles, litter. And I think it's a problem of modernity with government as an agent of modernity. And no government solution can fix this in our paradigm today. We can do safe treatments, delivery, safe drugs, needles, whatever we do. It's not going to take away the problem and it's not going to fix it. It's just going to make it change to another form.
I just
And you can
realized
see
that your I just realized that your image is demonstrating that you think that Epstein was a libertarian.
Oh well, maybe. I mean,
Technically, it kind of is, but
Yeah.
we could talk about that another day.
No, I
I
think-
thought it was the most appropriate picture for this stream, but
The,
yeah.
yeah, the
man.
most terrifying and appropriate.
Here's the thing. I
Zizek,
agree with
Peterson,
Martin's as a person who also
Hunter
has
Biden.
ample experiences with drugs in the past. I agree with Martin only because so it's not like I'm speaking from like a perspective of ignorance, right? I'm very, very familiar with drugs and I've been associated around it and I've seen all sides of it, right? And
Me
it's
too.
a difference between like idealism and like practice. In practice, these like safe injection sites leads to like syringes everywhere, regardless of whether or not it's a managerial problem. In reality, this is what happens. In reality, when you legalize drugs, what ends up happening is you promote it and then more people get especially in America. I don't know about everywhere, but you promote it and then there's more accessibility. And then like when people get addicted, it becomes normalized. Like this is what actually happens. Regardless of whether or not we want to live in a society where, you know, people aren't living in broken homes, where they don't have like these prior causes that would lead them to drugs, we're not going to get rid of this. None of this exists in a vacuum. And as long as that's case, and which is going to be more of the case as modernity increases, we shouldn't also promote things that we know are going to create downward spirals at the same time. Whether or not you decriminalize them, I support decriminalization, but I don't.
Incompetent and
Yes.
growing more and more incompetent by the day. So expecting any kind of government solution, even if it's in theory a good one, is not going to work.
Vers, do you believe
I
that?
used to be
No, I don't
an
know. Let me
idealist as
push
well.
back against that for a little bit, Martin. I think that like it's a problem because the federal government is entirely incompetent of doing anything, obviously. But I feel that if it's kept on a local, regional basis, and there's people that are willing to change. Here's the thing. Here's what I mean by.
I agree with that for sure.
Well, let me just talk about like the institutionalization aspect. Okay, so this is the classic example of power, the globalism manifesting itself in terms of selling the same outcome that is advantageous to them to different people. So there's a, let me say, there's a false liberation going on. There's a pseudo liberation. So in the 80s, when like Ronnie Reagan and the I wouldn't see, the thing is, I wouldn't call the Republican Party in the States right wing exactly, but let's say capitalist fundamentalists, that sort of like of the liberal political spectrum, they're like on the right. So the capitalist sort of Ronnie Reagan types, they're like, yeah, let's close the institutions because it saves us money. And the liberal side said that, well, the institutions are dehumanizing. And yes, they were. A lot of them, most of them actually were, well, not most, but a lot of them were like horrific and basically treating people that were the most vulnerable as human cattle. And you could look up Forest Haven, and there was one place in Toronto for children that was terrible. There was the one that Geraldo Rivera did back in the 70s, the children's place. What was it called? Willowbrook or something like that. But these institutions with people that were drug addicts and mentally ill, they were horrific. But the problem is that when you sort of close them for different reasons, because it's quote unquote compassionate or because it saves people, the government money, then you're just basically dumping these people onto society.
Nowhere for them to go.
Exactly. So I think that we need to start reconsidering institutionalization that is hooked up to making sure these people have a life after their stint, whether they're drug addicts or mentally ill.
We should just let these schizos eat mushrooms.
Basically recited some
Maybe
of my...
But I don't know, Martin, like you're in the system, so what do you think about
justified or recited the way I justified my work here. I know it's not going to work. I know these people are never going to get healthy from what we do, but we do give them a roof over their head, clean needles, food, help to get medical treatment, go to detoxification if they need to, hospitals, etc. And I for sure don't want to pull the rug out from under them in that way. But also this, what do you call it, kind of institutionalizing doesn't work, because it's also, they can leave whenever they want. They can do whatever they want. They can take as much drugs they want. They can fuck up in every way, and we basically just keep them alive. And they never face consequences. They live in an institutionalized way, sometimes from childhood, from child protective care. Many of them have been through that mill, and they live in...
any of them actually rehabilitate into valuable citizens in your society?
No, never. No. Basically never.
What's your solution then, Martin?
If it is
where's the
like just good luck or being at the right place at the right time, finding something to replace it with, something like that, but they never get out of this with our help. No.
Martin, what do you believe should be done? I'm genuinely curious.
I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure. I think some kind of force is needed. Whether that be from, you can see here we have lots of Indian, Pakistani, Iranian, and when they fuck up, like in their youth, many of them get taken by their families, set straight, and go back to school, get a job, and become productive members of society, even though they may be fucked around between 15, 20, 25. But most of them are put under totally different standards than normal westernized families do.
Right, but that seems to be a cultural difference.
Yeah,
correct?
exactly. So
yeah, the reason
the effect of force, and the government in this capacity cannot do that because everything is voluntary. You have to apply yourself for treatment, for hospitalization. You can stay here for a year or two, but yeah, you just can be put another place.
Well, this is an important point that Martin's bringing up here, because like in the United States, we have negative freedoms, and the question is always, what are the positive freedoms? Like, sure, like in the Constitution, it's more about what you are not allowed to do to the Americans, but the question for me has always been, how do we define ourselves as a culture, as a civilization? My concern is that whether we're talking about LSD or cannabis or anything that would put people into a better state, and I'm not saying it's everybody, there are people obviously, like, I remember looking at various problems when I was going into the gym and just seeing, man, all of this is just built on the foundation of cards and they could collapse at any point. But that's not the point. What I'm getting to here is that when people don't have something to connect them to something higher, sure, you could say that they can meditate and smoke weed and get to a higher state, and we'll get to that later. But
they're all just neoliberal palliatives, Lev. That's the thing.
Well,
and
this is
you got the hippies did it. They got colonized by capitalist realism. The Jordan Peterson, the New Age movement, the New Age movement, all of that shit. It's all just a way for individualized solutions for collective problems. So sorry to cut you off.
No, but that's a good point. I think that is a concern that people bring
up.
The question
is, to further that, the question is, why would any society allow its huge amount of its population, especially the most productive sectors, especially young men in particular, why would they allow the human capital of the society to be totally shredded and annihilated through various social pressures? And this is including the opioid crisis and everything. So why would this society be so demonic as to let this happen? I don't know. Unless it's run by reptilians. Who knows?
Yeah, well, here's a couple. There's a few substances that are going to be made legal because it helps make you a better consumer, like marijuana being one of them. Adderall being another one. Things that make better production or consumption. Those will be made legal.
I think psychedelics do the opposite of everything you guys are talking about.
But not cannabis. Cannabis. I mean, all you want to do.
That's fair. I don't have a problem with people smoking weed, but I do think you're right. You're going to want to go buy wings or whatever the fuck.
No, it makes
psychedelics.
It makes you soy face.
Psychedelics is going to make you a kind of a problem. Like you're gonna when you take psychedelics, either a couple things are going to happen. You're either going to like have a manic episode, not know what the fuck is going on, and never want to do it again, or you're going to have some sort of what you perceive as enlightenment, which may or may not be. But I do think you were going to be in touch with something that a lot of people don't even get at all anymore. They don't get any real spirituality.
But Yakov, it's the way that they sell it, though. They have to sell it
spiritual, though. Please.
No.
Yeah,
but like,
no. Don't be that guy. Don't.
Well, I was that guy for many years.
It happens.
After doing mushrooms once.
No, but like
baby steps, y'all. You start somewhere.
Exactly.
But it's the way they sell it, Yakov. They have to sell it as a therapeutic thing, because the problem with psychedelics is that they're divorced from their original cultural and shamanic context from which they arose in different societies throughout the world in ancient civilizations. So when you use it as a way for hipsters to have like therapy, then that's totally defeating the point, in my opinion. That's the problem.
I agree with the idea of this whole conversation has been fascinating, by the way. The fact that almost everybody has basically the same opinions, but just small variations on it, even though you're all on different sides of the fence, is very interesting. I don't talk about the fact that I smoke weed a lot. I smoke weed all the time. I'm not constantly talking about it. I'm not an annoying stoner, but I am a stoner, and I'm aware that I'm addicted to marijuana. And so are all of my stoner friends, by the way, because they're normal people. They're not like caricatures. That's what happens, right? People become caricatures of what they do. But you guys convinced me of the whole legalization, decriminalization dichotomy idea. Like, yeah, you're right. If all this stuff becomes legalized, it's just going to become McDonald's in 30 years.
It will become that.
I can't see, because Gio, you laid out previously. There's going to be a small slice of people who use it for like the proper entheogenic purpose, whatever that is, for person to person. Then there's going to be another section of people who enjoy it for partying. I don't really have an issue with that, but there's going to be at least 50% of people who are just horrified. They might try it. They're going to be horrified.
Oh, no,
they look in the mirror and see what they see. They're going to shit their pants. That's not McDonald's. It's just not.
But how many people do you need to be heavy users to create a problem? Like, even like, let's think about obesity in America. It's like what, 30-40%, and
40%.
Like that's like our stereotype for the country.
Almost 50%.
50% of people are as you, even with the statistics you made that were like kind of just pulled out of the air, that's still a problem. You know what I mean? You
I
don't
think-
need a lot.
I
Verse,
don't know what
you
problems.
saying
What
I'm a
problems are you
problem,
talking
Verse?
about?
We
No.
got some big boys.
I'm
down
all
here.
I'm saying that
Big
it creates a
boys.
caricature. You thick boy. You got.
I'm
thick.
all
I know
for
it's
like
a- it is a
problems
problem.
that just annoy society at this point. Like we got
Yes.
everything's just falling apart. And if they legalize something that's just the thorn in the side for the people in power, like I like that.
Here's the thing. I'm not like I'm not pro clutcher. I've tried all these things that I'm saying that you really shouldn't. I've been through the whole whatever. I don't think I just think on a macro level things versus a individual level things are problems arise, right? There are
Yes.
second order consequences to legalizing things and to making them normalized.
Well, these things
and
are
that
social
people do not talk about.
technologies versus like everything else. And
Yeah,
that's-
There's massive secondary consequences to having these things be illegal, though, and it seems as if you're
Yes.
you're
Yeah,
dismissing
true.
that to talk
DMT
about
No,
what might
I'm
happen to
pro
society.
decriminalization. I'm pro
no,
decriminalization.
no,
I don't
Liberty
want
Lockdown. I
DMT
do
to
not
be
want
able
the
to be
CIA to make
accessible
more
at the
money.
store. I don't want to
I've
be
I've
able
said
to-
forever.
I
I've said
agree.
forever that the CIA only keeps drugs illegal because they can't make enough money off their child sex trading. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
that's
true.
really
true.
That's true.
We
that's
all
my
know
honest
that's
belief.
true.
That's the spicy
Basically.
take, but it's true.
That's-
That's
yeah, I
not a
accept that.
conspiracy.
Yeah, but
No.
you don't need DMT at the store. You don't need MDMA at the store. You really don't even need pot at the store. But I'll accept pot at the store, even though I
Yeah.
don't think you should
You
have
guys,
it
you
there.
guys are talking as if supply creates the demand. I think that the demand creates the supply. There's people that want to do drugs, and those that want to are doing them currently. And in the
Yeah, you're right.
future, there would be as well. Your implication that it would become McDonald's,
I can't
I just don't think meets
I
reality.
just
Yeah, we
think
don't have
it's-
drive-through bars.
My,
Like, you can't
my,
just drive
listen,
up,
wait.
buy
I didn't get to
booze.
finish. I didn't get to finish.
Oh, yeah,
what I
let
meant.
Remus.
Yeah, I didn't mean. I meant that specifically in the capacity of psychedelics specifically, because to
Jesus
me there's a sacred nature to that. I think there's something beautiful about the fact that a bunch of people have to kind of hide the fact that they have these things, these mushrooms. That, dude, if you take these, you're gonna get. Dude, you're gonna see some crazy shit, man. And then you go and you do it, and you demystify the experience. You have the experience together. It's still a ritual, even if you're doing it in your fucking mom's basement. It's still a ritual. There's still something to that. It gets completely taken away if it's a fucking pill that you get from some guy. Even though I think that it's good that psychedelics are useful to help people who have things like PTSD and stuff like that, because those are terrible afflictions of your mind that I think there should be treatment for. But I still think there's something to doing
I think lifting
the
weights
naughty
could cure
thing
that
and
better than
having
weed,
a
in my
transcendent
opinion.
experience by doing the naughty thing. I think that's good. I think it's kind of like that's to use I don't know what better word there is, but it's Lindy to fucking
It is Lindy. It is Lindy.
It's Lindy to go get fucked up with your friends in the forest.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
that's a human
I agree with that.
experience that
That's
is
true,
important.
yeah.
Just like
There's
how
two
I
things
think-
you brought up.
Yeah.
There's two things you brought up that I think are brilliant. First off, the isolated take mushrooms as a pill thing. That we don't mention that we are isolating these the active chemicals in a lot of these like substances and then making them into this like super hyper biochem produced version.
Oh yeah,
then,
like chemists
and
making
that's a
research
problem.
chemicals.
Like,
It's
if you
really
could smoke-
insane.
Yeah, research chemicals are like smoking opium from like the actual plant versus like hydros or oxys and like the issues that creates. That's what happens when you legalize like these drugs. You don't
It's
get
like the meme DMT that Rogan talks about versus doing
Yes.
ayahuasca. Those are two completely
Exactly.
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
different
Right.
things.
Same thing with opioids. Same thing with like even taking like what are the things with the THC now? Like I could not do.
Yeah, I don't want to take a
lot of the-
THC pill.
Eddie-
It's
yeah.
weird.
Or caffeine pills versus coffee.
When I smoke,
No, but
weed,
again, this is
I'm
all
lighting a
instrumentalized to make
fire.
sure that people do their jobs. Like they could take it at the office the way they used to take speed. in the
Exactly.
office.
Yeah,
And
it's
doing the
whole-
microdosing and
it's-
all
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Microdose. Yeah, coders doing
microdosing.
microdosing.
This is what I was gonna
Come
say.
on, that's
like,
fucking that's
what-
capitalist
That's
real.
the McDonald's.
that-
That's the
You
McDonald's.
know what that is?
They're gonna
That's fucking
microdose your
capitalist
fucking
realism right there.
So true.
microdose
I hate
your
that so much.
McDonald's so that
I
you
hate
can have-
microdosing.
Yeah,
I hate
just
you guys.
it's
Whoever
like,
made
just
that
do
meme.
it. Just
I
do
know,
it.
just
think-
eat an eighth
I
and
also
sit
don't
there
like acid. I
somewhere,
don't-
like, and do it once a month. Like,
I've
microdose
never
it.
aliens in the
Yo,
desert.
if I'm
Go
I
talk
eat
to aliens in the
mushrooms,
desert.
it's like 14 grams to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I take heroic doses, but I also don't really see the problem with microdosing, to be honest.
I just don't get it
it's
really.
a tool of
I don't
capitalism.
either.
I don't
but
see the
it's just-
problem with it either.
Can I
I don't
ask
think-
You're a
something now that we're
drone.
on
Yeah,
this?
You're
Gio.
a drone.
There's
Can I ask-
absolutely
can
nothing
I ask
wrong with
Green
any of
Thumb
these things. They're
something?
just cringe. It's optics.
Yeah,
Most of it.
Gio.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, Green Thumb. Now that because I've never I've never had a conversation with like a legitimate weed grower, if you know what I mean. But you know, all the brands they have, like, you know, you go to the Canadian website and like you could have like Dreamweaver, White Widow, like, are all those brands, like the brand names?
All of the ones that come from Tweed specifically, everything is rebranded from my seeds. I still have over 500,000 seeds that were in my
Holy
genetic
shit.
vault before I got hired at Tweed, in their vault, because as part of my contract, they have to keep it climate controlled for 25 years.
Whoa.
Sorry, boys.
No, but what I mean is, like, are all those brandings, is that like bullshit? Like, is
Yeah,
I know
it's all
weed
name
is,
branding. That's what I mean. It's all
Yeah.
it's all
Like, I know there's
strains that
different
I've been working on that
levels
are
of
all
weed.
named completely different
Yeah.
names.
No,
But they are
because, like,
different plants, though, right? They're different species.
Yeah.
Or, like,
There's different phenotypes and
subspecies,
so forth.
subspecies.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
there are.
Like, there's
Yeah.
different
That's
effects
cool.
like
I think
certain
that's cool.
strains can have, but I think, I don't know, it's just, to me, it's like
The branding of it is
yeah.
it's literally it's just a commercial branding thing, and I
See,
think it has a lot to
yeah.
do with the legal market up here because people are afraid of someone's coming in and trying to take
See, this
the
I think is
genetic
Lindy.
or
I also
trademark
believe you
information.
should
Supporting
take
botanists,
psychedelics
like,
that's not from
This is what
your
I'm talking
native
about.
I
region.
support botanists who want to
I would buy
bioengineering.
from this guy. I
Yes,
would
I
not
like
buy from the company that owns your shit. You know what I'm saying, dog? That's what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
So,
this is what it
Verse,
has
would
to
you-
be.
Wouldn't buy from
So
the
you want a
company that owns
shaman,
my
not
shit
the
either.
pharmacist.
It has to
I
be-
wouldn't buy it ever.
It
There's
has
nothing.
to be always person
Nothing.
to person. Drugs have always been a collective thing. Like, if you're
Yeah,
doing drugs
yeah,
a
exactly.
lot by yourself, you're schizo posting IRL. That's what it is.
Yeah. Wrong with that? So true.
But
So
Verse,
true.
would you be in favor of like the home, like like the DIY garage,
Yes.
like botanist, chemist, like Alexander
bro.
Shulgin type?
100%.
stuff?
If you want to legitimately learn botany and like start to be a bioengineer and start making different strains of shrooms and like
It's
mixing
fucking
different
amazing.
amino,
Yeah.
like have fun, go do it.
But I don't know.
amazing, and
The
you're
problem is
learning
that
about
like
Anybody
positive
could just
contribution
claim
to
that they
society.
are, though.
I just
Wouldn't
the
that
problem
be
with designer drugs is
Yes.
that
Yeah.
it
Let
can
them
fuck you
claim
up,
if they
I don't
want.
know.
They'll get it eventually.
But the thing
like,
is, like,
I'm a botanist
wherever,
now. I'm a scientist. Look at me.
Yes.
wherever
that's
I
what science
buy
is. I
my
support that.
mushrooms, if I buy it at the gas station, wherever, when I'm tripping balls, I'm not going to give a shit where it came from, dude. Like, I'm gonna have a real good
I
time. and I'm probably
I
gonna read a
disagree
book.
with that
Yeah,
because
come, you're the
hypothetically, not, say, and this is hypothetical, but I may have grown psilocybin mushrooms hypothetically before off
In
the
Minecraft.
record, on the record. And
In
I
Minecraft.
think that mushrooms are environmental sponges, whether they're medicinal mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, or just lion's mane, because I did grow lion's mane, shiitake, and oyster mushrooms as well. And they are environmental sponges, and I'm gonna sound like a huge fucking hippie. I don't really care though. It matters who grows them.
Yeah.
It matters the intent.
I mean, they're very
I mean,
alive.
if you just
No,
decide that
I
you're
think we should just
I'm still eating them.
just put to the side the whole hippie, like all that. Fuck that shit. Pretending that these things are somehow owned by like douchebags and losers from the '60s who couldn't change their society.
Then they sold out and they
appreciate
became
that.
real
It
estate
doesn't.
moguls.
They don't own this shit.
As a student of
Mhm.
astrology and someone who's sitting in front of a crystal collection, I appreciate that a lot.
The first people who did mushrooms literally took it out of shit. Okay,
Yeah.
you can't pretend like you're
That's
somehow.
how I did mushrooms.
Like it's that you're
Mhm,
literally
yeah,
taking it out of
that's
that
why I
source.
say
And
get
I
'em.
think even that is symbolic.
You're supposed to remove the shit.
Yes, you do
they
remove the
grow
shit.
on cow shit. They
Remus,
grow
you
on
mean
cow shit.
the African
I go balls
plains
to the
when
wall,
the
dude.
monkeys
Yeah.
went down from the
Yes,
African
yeah,
plains
exactly.
and
Wait,
took
wait,
the
wait.
stoned ape?
Yes.
Yeah, so then they all.
And a lot of times mushrooms
pull
will
that shit
taste like
up.
what they're grown on, which is why
Yes.
like you grow like oysters on like hay and shiitakes on sawdust, so they kind of have like it makes them taste sweeter. And psilocybin mushrooms, I used horse shit literally. Yeah, I would go to a
Yeah.
horse farm hypothetically if I
In
had
my-
done
in
something
Minecraft.
like
we have
that.
a great,
In
Minecraft.
guys, we have a great comment from Lana644. I want to grow cow. I don't know why. It
That's
also
good.
looks like
Don't have a
I
cow,
like,
man.
It looks
Yeah,
like I
you-
have an Elton John style gap in my teeth. That's
Yes.
actually spinach. That's from
It's
the
powerful.
spinach that I was eating. And now look what I'm about to eat. I'm about to eat this delicious looking omelet over here. Look at this.
Big.
Look
What's
at
in
this
that?
omelet.
That
No,
looks
man,
good.
send on.
I did a whole
Mukbang
lot of
on there.
yoga yesterday. So anyway, what I want to touch
There
on
was
here.
nothing in the green room, Lev. What's up with this?
I like this. Here's the thing. I actually really do like the idea of people learning. If you want to do drugs and you grow them yourself and do all those like organic drugs, I 100% support that. I think that's great for society. First off, you've learned a skill.
Yeah.
You've learned basically like a very like useful skill to society. You're a producer. That is all good things. Have fun.
I just imagine that clip from Trailer Park Boys where Ricky was like, "Man, you know, Trinity. Like when I was a kid, when I was 9 years old, I started growing weed. Nobody showed me. I could show kids how to grow weed, and it's like, you know, they don't have to make mistakes.
They don't have to make the mistakes that I made. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
no, but
if you
literally.
end up,
I have theoretically
and you
both
might accidentally make
made-
real like different types of medicine. Like that's a very possibility. Like most of science happened by accident, right?
Exactly.
So you are contributing to the production of human knowledge. That is a positive contribution to society. You, however, buying a pill from a gas station and getting a bliss out of your mind in a parking lot is not a contribution to society.
Yes.
But what if
These
I
are
can
different-
buy a
I can
pill out of
take-
a gas station that gets my dick really hard because I can get
I accept
those?
though. Go
Yeah,
pills.
that's
Come on.
fine.
You can
That's
buy the
fine,
ones
yeah.
that have
So
really
scary and
strong-
bad
If
for
John
your
Jones,
heart.
if they're good
Shout out
enough
to
for
Blue
John
Chew.
Jones,
We're gonna get Blue
Good
Chew
enough for
sponsoring
John.
this podcast. Thank you, Blue Chew.
Thank you, Blue
This is-
Chew.
Good
And shout
enough
out
for
to
Roll
John
Blue
Jones,
Tide,
Chew.
good enough
baby,
for-
roll
Shout out to
Tide.
Blue Chew. Blue Chew, one of our.
Yes, shout out Blue Shoe, our sad posting friend.
Oh, by the way, speaking of
I
$50
love Blue
patrons, Lev.
Oh yes, we have a comment from Super Iron Bob that I am going to read out. I just have to load it up. I'm using a laptop right now, so as far as reading comments on the screen and holding this really hot omelet in my other hand, which I have to put down for a second, it's a little bit tough, you know.
Just
Don't
rub the
step in
hamster.
it. Don't
And
step
everybody,
in it.
please subscribe. All
Don't
you
step
people
in it.
who
Oh,
are
God.
watching this, please subscribe. Now, one thing that I wanted to get to while I'm loading this comment in is something that Bess talked about, which is an experience that I also had. When I used to take edibles and vaporize cannabis, my favorite thing, and same thing, like in my mid-20s, that's when I did it, and that's when I used to go to the gym. Nothing better than lifting weights while being high off my mind, and I loved indica the most. I love the body high, because with the body high, then you get to really like feel your entire muscles working. But here's the thing, and this is just my own take on it. When you do something like that, I personally feel like there are things within my own willpower that I'm not training as much as I can. So it's like the equivalent of holding a heavier weight and working out, where the heavier weight to me would be the sobriety of this world with all of its problems and all its bullshit, as well as wearing this egg that protects us from the psychic forces. And once the egg is broken through psychedelic means, and I consider weed a psychedelic, honestly. Like, at high enough doses is psychedelic. For me, it was always a psychedelic as far as I always had the visuals when I was
Same.
smoking weed. Every single time.
That's called you and I are schizo. That's what that's called. We're naturally schizo.
Yeah,
we're
that's,
schizotypal, and
Exactly.
it just
Yeah,
activated
that's literally
that.
what that is. It's
No,
your
again,
Yeah,
shaman,
we're
it's your
schizotypal.
shaman
It's fine.
genes.
We're
yeah.
shaman.
Yes,
Yeah, we're shaman.
yes.
It's your
exactly.
shaman genes. It's all good.
Schizophrenic or shamanistic?
I get insane visuals, and that's why I had to stop using it because it makes me like breach.
Well,
you know.
I loved it. I loved getting all these visuals. The problem, though, was that it felt
We're
like
gonna
I
ride
was
the
not
lightning.
working out. I was not working out my own psychic ability, so I had to put the weed down and just do it myself. And now I'm getting slowly back into where I was back when I was high, guys. I used to be able to see fucking chakras. Like, when I closed my eyes, I would see colors corresponding to the way that I was feeling. So if I was in survival mode, I'd be seeing red. And I was seeing like a very bright Christmas tree lights version of red. I saw green when I felt calm and with nature. And then I saw like blue and purple when I was more, analytical or whatever. So all this color spectrum, yoga, bullshit, it's all real. I think it's all real. And
You
Okay,
know
you
that,
gotta start teaching me like where you're
you know that
getting
Alex.
this
I
well, to
apparent
be fair,
thing.
to be
Yeah,
fair,
like,
I was
I
doing
have
the-
never had weed that
Well-
gets me that fucking high. I
Oh,
haven't
it's
had
not
acid
the
that gets me
It's
that
not the weed.
fucking
It's not the
high.
weed. It's not the weed.
Holy
It's not the weed.
shit.
What it is
Nah,
was
I
the
think
Wim
it's our
Hof method.
predisposition.
Well,
Yeah.
that too, but also the Wim Hof method. Since this was around the same time that I started doing the Wim Hof method, doing the breathing techniques, classic
Yeah.
pranayama, and from there I was able to get to the point where that plus weed equals you are opening a fucking wormhole. And when that
Nah.
happens, you gotta be, well, first of all, I think you gotta be careful, because I personally think that once we go out of this mortal coil, we will do the exact same shit that we are seeing, and we are seeing to a limited extent, mind you, within either our dreams or within the psychedelic realm when we ingest these substances. I think that we are all living in a world of imagination. We can all see this shit, but at the same time, my personal problem is that we're here for a reason. And these limitations are on us for a reason. And if we don't work on overcoming these limitations using our own willpower, then it's almost like we kind of got a raw deal with the reincarnation. At least to me, that's how I feel regarding
You're-
psychedelics and all
you're
that.
using-
Ironically,
They're
you're arguing
steroids.
against drug use because of revelations you had from drug use.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yes and no. Yes and no. And here's
That
why.
happens to a
I
lot
only
of
know
people.
that I
Because
don't
started. I'll tell you why. Because when I started the Wim Hof method, this was before I got like really big into, I took the Terrence McKenna heroic dose as well and all that. So before that, when I just started the Wim Hof method, I didn't need any of the drugs to get me to that state. I was able to get to that state soberly. It was a lower version of that state where I saw certain things, but it wasn't as high. Weed and the heroic dose that I took of the mushrooms, that exacerbated things to a very high extent. And like I said before, just with weed, you can get to a very high point. But my whole point here is that if I were to just have done the breathing technique on its own, I would have still seen similar visuals, but of, let's say, a lower grade, like a lower quality. And I would have seen, okay, if there's something here, I can work my way up to seeing something more. Already, like I've said in multiple episodes, I have been sober for about maybe 5 years now. I was sober since about 2016, I think. By sober, I mean no weed, no mushrooms, nothing at all. Not even alcohol, honestly. But when I saw Bess has left, I want to wish Bess the very best.
Yeah, no, I think she had to go. It wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, she said she had to leave at
You
3:30.
know,
Yeah,
you know
she put her info in the chat if anyone wants
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
oh,
put it
excellent.
with her.
Yes, cannabis. Cannabis is great.
Yeah, she wasn't just piecing like.
the Aldous Huxley quote.
She didn't rage
off
quit
enough.
like some other people.
We didn't
I
off another
refrained
woman
from
on a
saying that,
stream.
Gio. Yeah, I refrained from saying that.
The Aldous Huxley quote that when you get the
Love,
message,
check your DMs, by the way.
when
Oh,
psychedelics
sure.
give you the message, hang up the phone. That's why a lot of us have like the revelation of like, maybe we don't need to be doing this all the time. Like once you get the message, hang the phone up.
I think that's
totally
that's
Totally.
totally
I
fair,
was,
but
I've
it
actually
shouldn't prevent
had
other
this
people from getting
conversation, I
that
think,
message.
with Yakov before, after a summer of me doing like mushrooms and acid, like literally almost like every single day, like hanging out at the river and doing that. I feel no need to do it ever again because I got what they needed from me and they got what they needed from me. And I just I don't have really a desire to do it anymore.
I
If
trip
I was
also,
your friend, I would have.
straight. Eventually,
recommend
eventually,
not
I
doing
realized that I got what I needed out of it, and I just stopped. It wasn't.
Mhm.
It wasn't like it was a curiosity. I don't think it was an addiction. Some people might have called it that, but
For
what I
what?
was,
That's what it was for
I
me.
was,
I don't know
substance?
how
What
you
substance?
get
Definitely
addicted
developed
to
a
things I
tolerance.
was experiencing. What's that?
I don't know how
What
you
substance?
get
Some of the
addicted
things
to
I was
psychedelics.
experiencing
That's
were
crazy.
traumatic, and like I was experiencing them as a it was like a religious trial that I was going through in my mind. I was rotating what I was doing. I'd be doing like mushrooms. I had some acid. I had some research chemicals. I had like 4 or 5 different things going at once. And it was pretty retarded and absurd. But I was cycling through them like 2 years straight. I was just tripping balls. And I learned more during that time than I've ever learned in my life about myself, most importantly. And yeah, once it was time to stop, I stopped. And I think I needed to get that curiosity out of me. I needed to satiate.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
because
I
agree.
you're one of those guys that you need to do that. Like you
Yes,
need.
but
It's
most
like
people don't
like
have
if
that
I was
urge
your parents, I'd let
with
you burn your
psychedelics.
hand. You're that guy.
Yeah, I don't think most people should do that, by the way. And most people will get the message the first time they do it if they're not supposed to be doing it.
Some kids
But
need
I've
to burn their
learned, like,
hands.
But this
with,
is the other
with a lot of
argument
different
that,
grades
yeah.
of drugs, though, I don't think that people even like with psychedelics particularly. I think it's a specific type of person who has this curiosity. Like of all the drugs, I think it's the one that the least amount of people have like the urge like to like dive into like these psychedelics.
It's horrifying when you see yourself as
Yeah.
you are. You were horrified the first time.
I
takes
get
courage.
that, and like I also had this problem, or not problem, but like this disposition. But I do think that I lost my train of thought. But oh yes. With weed, funny enough, this is complete. I'm veering off as a complete tangent. I always got like the annoying, the obnoxious like Alex Gray Tool cover visuals of like inside of it.
Yeah.
I'm inside
saw
of a
that. That's
Taurus.
some-
Not
I saw
even,
that-
not even
the
quality
Taurus.
Robert Vino's.
Yeah, no, like legitimately, like
psychedelic.
The
I will have a
is
rant
like
about
The Pillars of
psychedelic.
Eternity. They're the Pillars
yeah,
of Eternity.
one to
yeah.
one, the Thousand Eyes one, where you're
Alright.
like and
Dude,
see
the
The
first
red
time I
guys,
did
did you see
mushrooms.
the Godhead?
the
the first
Godhead.
time I
I see
did
that. That's what I
mushrooms-
see
One.
every time.
I was
It's
Sounds
listening
pretty
to
cool.
Tool.
I don't know.
It's kind
was
of cool,
awesome.
but it's annoying, and I feel like I'm
I
cringe.
saw
I'm
Dancing
like,
Buddhas.
why am I seeing
Nice.
Alex Gray artwork in my head? And I really hate
Ah!
For me, I was the first time I did mushrooms. That's what I saw. Except everything was green. I don't know why. Just a random thing, right? But I saw that exactly too, and I was just like, all of a sudden, dude, I had this moment. I was like,
The
19,
first time
I was like
the first
19.
time
I was like,
did-
oh, it's all real, and then just like now I'm here. You know what I
The
mean?
first
We're
time I
shaman,
did
it's okay.
mushrooms,
Yeah,
I
it's
did
okay.
them. I was at this place. I'm not going to dox where I am, obviously, but if you're in Ontario and Niagara region, you know where it is. But it's a historical place, and I was with a friend who is now a works under. He's a researcher in psychedelics and psychology. He works under that John Vivarke. I can't pronounce his last name. Lev, you know the guy, the psychoanalyst. He does the psychedelic John Vivacar or something. Yeah, he works under him. So we were, he was like almost like my guide, and I remember it was quite an intense experience. It was quite a terrifying experience actually, because I was sorting out a lot of my own shit. And the second time, when I saw more of the intense visuals of the dancing Buddhas, and I kept focusing on this phrase from Joseph Campbell, where he said the manifold heads of Shiva. Then I saw this like post-apocalyptic vision. You know the Denver mural, the Denver airport
Yes.
mural?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
saw the gas mask guy, and it was like the end of the world, but I was fine with it. So I don't know what that says about myself. But I have a rant about psychedelic kitsch, but maybe if I'm interrupting people, Lev, I don't know.
Well,
Or if you
before
want
we
to
get to
announce
the
something.
rant, I wanted to get to Patreon and to a deal that you just announced right now via DM. Okay, so
Well,
listen,
technically
guys.
last week, but yeah, right now. Yeah.
So listen, guys, we got to maintain this and we got to grow this. We've already been successfully growing thanks to your incredible help. You guys are the very best, but here is what you can do to get us to the next fucking level. So, number one, we are going to have Charles Carroll on the 29th, I believe. Yeah, the 29th, Charles Carroll. He's going to be on. In January, late January, we are going to have on the great and powerful Owen Cyclops.
Finally.
He is coming. Owen Cyclops is coming. But this is what you guys can do right now to help support us. Go to patreon.com and subscribe as well. We go to patreon.com/break the rules, become a patron. If you become a $5 patron, you get access to the secret Discord server place. If you become a $20 patron, you are going to get one of my father's very, very beautiful magnets, hand-carved magnets, ultra high quality. And if you become a $30 member, you are going to get one of Gio's absolutely beautiful prints from the TFW No GF series. Look at him go. It's so beautiful. I wish you guys in the Zoom call could see it. But this is something this is something you guys can see, the offer that Gio made. So first off, for $50 members, here's what the $50 members get. Number one, and I believe we're calling it Guardian Crusaders, or no, it was based on that song at the end of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So I don't remember right now.
Stardust Crusaders.
No, not Stardust Crusaders. No, hold
It'll
on.
be your roundabout.
Oh,
No,
by,
that's not it. No, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it right now. See, I don't even remember.
That's such
what
a
it's
fucking
called.
nasty
Wait, Roundabout was
baseline,
in
dude.
JoJo?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the fucking
that
end
was-
theme of the
Holy
first
shit,
season.
really?
Dude, you have to watch
Oh.
JoJo. Stop being such a baby. Do it.
JoJo's
Okay.
I have a love-hate relationship with, but when it's good,
I
it's
can't.
really
I
good.
don't know if I can
Just
watch-
jump
bring
on the
myself
fucking
to watch
train. Stop being a
anime.
baby.
It looks too gay at face value.
It
It's
is
hard.
really gay.
It's the
a
gayest
good
show ever,
by
but
far.
it's also incredibly based and red pilled, and you're
Yeah,
not,
it's
you're not
based
even
and
ready.
also
You're
extremely
not
gay.
even
You're
ready.
saying all the meme terms here, man. You're saying all the terms.
So
Is
$50
that
patron.
wow though?
Oh yeah, hold on. I'm gonna get to the $50
Oh my
patron
God.
right now. My
$50
internet is very slow because all of this stuff on my poor laptop. It's the workhorse. It really is. It's doing all this job. I just want
That's
to
what
tell
your
you what.
Patreon is for, is getting a new laptop for fucking Lev.
Hell yeah. Well, my computer right now, it's in repairs. So here we go. Hold on. Let me take a look at the tiers.
Yeah, Mango's
what
way
is the
better.
tiers? Okay. Hold on. What is that song? It's the one with the Giorgio Giovanna. It's the last JoJo anime that was made so far. Anyway, whatever. I'll tell you that later.
I stand by that.
For the golden one, for golden.
Yeah, there was a
whatever.
song
Julian's
called
Requiem.
something Crusaders at the end of it.
I can't remember, Lev.
Okay, I'll tell you later. Anyway, here is what you get. Here
Oh,
Geo,
fuck.
I know.
This is really what the stream is.
Here is
Jesus
what you get.
Christ.
Here is what you get. Here is what you get for $50 membership. Okay, so Geo, speaking of Giovanna, Geo is going to draw.
Wait, before you
beautiful-
get all the
paint.
previous tiers at the $50, you will get a print, you will get a magnet, you will get a custom
Yes.
magnet that is designed by Lev's father.
That's right.
Made by
$50
him.
members get a custom magnet, very beautiful. All the other stuff, and by the way, those 2 magnets, that's recurring. Every single year, you're going to get them again and again and again, so long as you stay a member. And Gio, can you tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here in the chat window?
So you will also get at the $50 tier one of my quick painting Bob Ross studies that I do, where I modified his technique for acrylic. And basically, when I used to pump these out, I used to get them down to, I believe 10 minutes. I could do one in 10 minutes. So you get one of the Bob Ross sketch series prints, painting.
That's
Sorry.
incredible.
So you'll get my
Awesome.
print and a painting. So there you go.
You
And they're
did
There we go.
yeah,
one of
and they're
those in
easy
10
for me to
minutes.
to make again, because I've got it down to like about 10 to 15 minutes for one. So
Oh, man.
not to cheapen their value, of course, but you know.
That's the Bob
If
Ross
anything,
way,
that
man.
makes them more valuable because it's so impressive, the technique. You know.
Well, I had to like basically retcon a lot of his techniques for acrylic, but yeah, basically you'll get one of them and you'll get one of my prints, and you'll get 2 magnets, one custom and one existing at the $30 tier. So I don't know. We've showed enough love. I feel we're shameless in this regard. I feel dirty right now. I
Absolutely.
feel like I have to take a shower after
So
showing.
these are powerful
Subscribe.
promos. These are powerful promos.
I have to tell
Absolutely.
people to subscribe.
These are Ric
otherwise they won't.
Flair-esque promos right now.
We gotta hit Nature Boy
Oh,
level.
here we go. Here we go. Now I remember what it is. I forgot about it, and now I remember. Modern Crusaders. That's what the $50 tier is called. Modern Crusaders. That was the end song of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. It is such an incredible song. I recommend everybody, after watching this stream, look up Modern Crusaders, and I'll tell you who it's by. So the song Modern Crusaders is by Enigma. I don't know if you guys heard about that band, Enigma.
Oh yeah, that was the new age lounge band.
While you're at it,
Yeah, the
also
trancy
look up
stuff from the
Gio's.
90s.
Yeah.
That dude.
Weird.
Also,
Like,
while you're at it, look
like,
up Gio Adorno's theme.
more
'cause
Chiba.
it wouldn't win.
I
Gio,
can't
this
see.
is-
I can't
first of
listen to
all-
that music. I get terminally nostalgic, and it just
Yeah,
makes me
man.
sad.
Gio, this is
So-
why you must indulge, because
Oh, is
it
JoJo the one where like the meme of like the guy walking like the really weird
Yes,
angle?
yeah.
He's like,
Yeah,
oh
Dios.
my god,
yes,
not that!
it's pure
No!
Kino. It's pure Kino.
Oh
It's
my
literally pro wrestling. It's like
Yes.
it's like
All right, I'm
basically
sold.
It was written by a Westaboo. It was written by a Japanese guy who's obsessed with the West. So
Yes.
everything is named after classic rock bands. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like, oh, dude, it's just
That
it's
is
a
actually
must watch.
that's
It's a
exactly
must
what it
watch.
is.
Yeah.
It's basically a West. I never even heard that. You probably made that term up, but either way.
No, I saw
I have a
that's an
legit
old Chan
question
term. He's a
about the
Westaboo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
Yukio
that makes sense.
Mishima kind of like a Westaboo because he?
No,
he's not. No, he's not. I know, but
transcendent.
he was
Dare
influenced.
He was intensely Japanese, but he
Yukio
he was-
Mishima.
Imagine
Yukio
calling
Mishima is the
Yukio Mishima a
Japanese.
Westaboo.
No,
But literally,
Yukio Mishima is the
but in
Japanese.
terms of literature, he
what's
was
his face?
influenced by Baudelaire
Kaczynski.
and by.
No, he's
other-
Kaczynski for the
He's an
for Japan.
intense Japanese national.
Yeah.
He used to
I
have
know.
small-
Japan's Kaczynski's.
No,
He
so I'm
used to
being
have
provided. He's
small
not a
legs.
Westaboo, but he was
Yeah.
deeply influenced by a lot of Western literature.
yeah.
He
Not
also
to make
had
him
small-
a Westaboo, but
He also had small legs, so he wanted people to take pictures of him like from below, so that it would look like his legs are
Wow,
bigger.
wow. Lev
Well, it's
just-
because
Lev
didn't
just
he-
throwing out his secrets like that.
well, he missed the draft because the doctor thought that he had tuberculosis, so he didn't get to fight in World War II, and that was like a very big like blow. That's why he became obsessed with physical fitness and strength.
Yeah, but
and
thank God,
vitality.
because he wouldn't have written it. He would have just died.
Yeah, I know,
He
especially
would've
that.
just
No,
died.
especially around 43,
That
44.
shit
Yeah,
was
you
a
they were
meat
fucked.
grinder. The Japanese
That's
were
the
insane.
nature of the samurai. Basically, the nature of the samurai is that, oh my god, I really want to die in a war.
Yeah,
but
no,
I
it-
didn't.
it's based in Reddit.
No,
yeah. And then
I'm
they
not
kill
real
themselves
samurai.
about it. Yeah.
No.
Well, because their whole thing, and I have the Way of the Samurai in front of me right now. It's
Beautiful.
that to die in with honor, to not die in.
I know
vain.
I've read it, but it's
Yeah.
like it's weird because it's just they never.
I
end
don't
up
think
dying
that's
in
weird. I
war.
think that's
Wait,
No,
brilliant.
I
Well, I
don't
think
think it's weird. I'm
cultures
saying all the
throughout-
ones that want to die in wars never do. They're always like writing and fucking for the ones we know.
Well, no, all the
You can't
ones that
get what
die
you
in
want.
I
wars
really, really
do.
want to die in
No,
a
but
war.
to
I
tie
really,
this
really wanna die in a war.
conversation, to tie
You can't
this
get what
into
you
what we're
want,
talking
but you'll get what
about-
you need. You can't
Yeah,
get you what you want, but you get what you need.
No, but the
Yukio
time it's in,
Mishima.
yeah. No, war and drugs has also always been involved because the Japanese were on amphetamines and the Germans were on amphetamines, but also historically a lot of the Germanic tribes, if I recall, were taking certain psychoactive substances when they were like charging their way through the Roman capital, which by the way wasn't actually real. It was just a 19th century academic painting fantasy. They didn't actually charge through Rome.
They invaded Rome. They did invade Rome.
Yeah, they did invade Rome, but it wasn't the way
Rome
that
was
they
sacked, and that became like the Rome after the sacking is a completely different place. They were like butthurt about being sacked that they just like
they just
genocided in Minecraft all those people really, really hard.
They
were like,
but even
never again.
The various tribes of the Nords and the Danes, they were
there's the whole berserkers
drugs.
and there's the idea of the berserker who took the mushrooms and stuff.
Amanita
like
muscaria mushroom.
Yeah, we were talking about the Scythians before.
Reindeer
well.
piss.
They used to smoke weed
Isn't it
before
crazy though how the American war machine is built upon the WASP? Well, was nowadays it's like entirely colonized by politics, but the American war machine was built upon the WASP sort of identity of like work hard and Protestant work ethic, and it was really one of the only armies in history that fought without the use of drugs until the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The Vietnam War.
I was like, dude, Vietnam was.
Well, I know, but even World War II, there was some level of drug taking, but not to the extent of the Germans and the Japanese. Because the Germans and Japanese, they had a different.
It wasn't prescribed
sort of
by the army itself. Like the Germans were using that as a
wasn't
strategy.
handed out with the rations.
Exactly. It wasn't part of the strat. Like if some of the Americans
don't get it
were on
twisted.
drugs,
Americans, like 90% of the American freaking military is on drugs or stuff. Just like the Canadian military. It's the same
especially
thing.
now.
Yeah,
especially now.
that's the
But then Vietnam was really the shelling point.
Drink all the rich fuel.
The drug association with culture is very, very understated, and this is a thing we forget because of we're super liberal, we're like this liberalism, post-capitalist, blah blah blah, dystopia. But we forget there's a dramatic effect on culture, based on the drugs that people consume in aggregate, and we're going to continue down the Reddit marvelization of society if we start.
The nerdwazi is taking drugs now.
Everyone's gonna start smoking weed, 420 blaze it, and our trees, and they're gonna turn lame and Reddit. We've already done it, but we're gonna get even worse.
So the nerdwazi is taking over.
No, this is the beauty, though. This is the beauty, and this is what we've learned. Okay, Reddit is ultimately their own enemy because what they do is they Redditify things so hard that they turn back around and become like. It's like how now it's like the counterculture is like being a upstanding citizen and having a family and like just being
yes,
right. Like that's the counterculture. It's the same idea. Like they buy in so fucking hard and they just like it's a goon cave. They goon cave weed. They goon cave everything. They cannot not goon. They are goons.
Reddit
they have to have artisanal vape pens.
This is what was lost.
They have to
accelerationism. Nick Land was wrong.
Like something, they have to goon it.
Nick Land was wrong.
Nick Land was wrong. Acceleration.
I will defend
accelerationism
you
is
because
Reddit.
you have a One Piece poster behind you, so you're.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna comment on that.
Yeah, your family now.
Yume wo kakeyatsu me.
Oh my god! By the way, I'm reading that JoJo was inspired by a Gauguin painting.
That and old pulp. Fantasy.
You have to watch JoJo's.
You have to. It's the
best. You'd actually really like it, Gio.
If
you read it,
because a lot of my favorite painters were basically weeaboos of their day. Like
you should read it because
the first bad guy is a vampire.
Yeah.
He's like an old school vampire, but it's distinctly Japanese. Like it is still.
It's like the no theater type of.
You'll love it because you like Japanese wrestling. You already like Japan. You just haven't taken the plunge into
the anime pill.
You haven't taken the plunge into and JoJo is the ultimate way in for people like you. But anyway, I digress. We were talking about war, the use of war.
I think we were talking about drugs. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, the use of drugs in war. And I have to say, I used to box. I used to kickbox. I haven't done that in a while, just out of circumstances of life. But when I was doing all this stuff, first of all, cannabis in this context is literally steroids. It's not fair, dude. If you're high and you're boxing with somebody and they're at the same skill level as you are going to piece them up. It's ridiculous. Your ability to anticipate strikes, your spacing, it's everything's so much more tactile and sensual. So all of a sudden,
as long as you can resist eating a burger halfway through, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
But so maybe
you have
RVD had a
you have
point,
time
though.
you have time dilation. So time dilation.
Yeah, exactly. Like you get a little Zawado effect. Like you can you know what they're gonna do. You can read intention, movement so much easier because like
you can also take cordyceps mushrooms, which have no psychedelic effect and aren't drugs whatsoever, that'll increase your cardio by 25% almost.
I also
immediately
accept
upon
that.
ingestion.
Yeah, shout out to cordyceps mushrooms.
Exactly. So all of these things, they have application all across human society.
Well, that was like RVD and Sabu. They were blazing it through the ECW days. Like,
oh my God,
I guarantee you, Sabu was high when he ripped his bicep off the barbed wire.
Dude, that is the gnarliest shit I've ever seen.
But isn't that dangerous in Japan though to have drugs because they
you
have
can because
they will kill you.
Yeah, they'll kill
Asian
you.
countries don't play. They just
like Singapore.
Can you get amphetamines like over the counter in a lot of these countries?
Yeah, you can get.
Yeah, they used to get them from
or at the corner vendor who just like sells them in lollipop shaped like devices. Yeah,
But
like, excuse me, that marijuana is extremely illegal. But right this way to our lolly manga fucking emporium.
If you go to
come right in.
It's a rape camp.
Dude, if you go to the Philippines.
Oh, and the used panty machine is over there. It's like
they have those.
Yeah, they have those. Yeah.
I have one of those.
How common are that? You're making it sound like they're on every street corner. But
I'm obviously exaggerating. It's obviously for comedic effect.
By the way,
I just find it hypocritical. It's ridiculous.
There was that recent post of the gummy bears. I think you know the ones that I'm talking about.
The gamer girl piss gummy bears.
Yeah, would those be able to replace the used panties? Or
eat a couple of those. Run into battle, will take over the whole fucking world.
Yeah, we were talking about those with the reindeer Amanita muscaria reindeer piss.
Yeah.
So we just have to feed the gamer girls mushrooms.
Yeah, they would drink their piss.
We just created a new market right here. This is brilliant.
It's like all the worst parts about sex condensed into like a fucking thing. Like, why do you want these fucking piss gummy bears? What the fuck is wrong with people?
People are demented.
Piss gummy bears.
Come on, man. We could just gotta jump on this now and start Patreon and just get all over it. All right.
Right, we gotta do it like now.
I'm not selling my used underwear for Patreon.
By the way, this
I'm not
conversation
doing
is 10 times more wicked because I'm listening to Piche Studio Set right now, so it's everything's flowing in a good direction. So
nice, good to know. Gio, we're gonna make a weeboo out of you by the end of this stream.
God, no, please.
And who knows? Maybe we're gonna.
If someone could make an anime avatar of my painting that is my profile picture, then
I can probably do that.
Gio wearing a. What
you shouldn't have said that, Gio. Because it'll happen. That's so easy for someone to make that happen.
The dressing gown, the Japanese dressing gown. What's that fucking called?
Kimono.
Kimono. Yeah.
Oh
Gio
my
is
God,
like
that
would
would
suit
be
one of
sick.
those.
You
No,
should
have
get a
like
kimono,
a Yokozuna
Gio.
outfit. That'll be.
A painting kimono. That sounds
Daimyo
nice.
Gio. Exactly. Daimyo Gio-sama.
Yes. I'll be like Tenru. I'll just come in like just. Yeah, never mind. Just drop.
I was bad with fucking like listening to JoJo music and working out, but you guys are clearly more far gone than I am.
No, you need to get
I'm very far
high
gone. I work out to anime music like every single day.
Fuck yeah.
I have an anime playlist.
So what are you trying to say, bro? Are you trying to say anime gives you like the advantage here? Like
anime just gives you autism.
It does give you autism.
Yeah, you get powers.
Dave, what's your favorite anime?
I all
if
of
it's
them.
One Piece, then it's definitely
in the house.
Honestly, it's.
I haven't even watched it.
I can't even say like a series, but like Spirited Away is my favorite like anime.
I respect that.
Okay, that's.
I watched Studio Ghibli with my parents. They actually liked it. I can't.
Yeah, you can red pill normies.
I actually had this conversation yesterday where I said I thought that watching anime was normal because the year that Spirited Away came out, the Pokemon movie also came out, and it won the Oscar. Spirited Away won the best foreign film Oscar, so I thought it was normal because I was
when are we gonna have a Sonic?
I was thinking about this the other night too because I grew up watching Sailor Moon, and just realized it was anime like yesterday.
There's some
Not
series
even
that have
kidding.
transcended.
Dragon
yeah,
Ball
no,
Z is
Poke-
ubiquitous.
Speaking of
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Chris
Pokemon,
Chan,
Dragon Ball Z, and Sailor Moon have
Yeah, when are we gonna have a
transcended anime.
Sonichu movie?
Okay,
Lev?
so guys, here's what's going down with Chris Chan, Sonichu, all that stuff. So Gino Samuel, who is the guy behind the Chris Chan documentary, he's going to be coming in February. We just have to set a date. But he is coming in. I'm very excited
Amazing.
about that. Maybe
I
we
get
can
to
just
talk
bring-
about my
Yes.
Freudian theory of Chris Chan with him. That would be
Powerful.
Exactly.
Yes.
And by the way, I want to go to Dave Jack. So, Dave, I really would love for you to talk more about your story. What exactly was going on with the blastoma? What's going on right now, and how you've been
Like
kind of
that
battling
Okay.
the establishment.
How far do you want me to go back, man?
Well, since you got it, so because I don't know if anybody here knows what exactly happened, especially for all the newcomers.
I just beat my 4th stage 4 diagnoses of brain cancer. That's it's all 4 times. Now it's gone into my lymph nodes.
Oh shit! I thought you did it.
Jesus.
So like that's the
I couldn't beat it.
designation of
Fuck.
stage 4 is like it goes from one part of your body to another part of your body.
Yeah.
So my first one was actually on my pituitary gland when I was a kid. Like I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm 6'7", and I was like 6'2" by the time I was 11, and my whole entire family is like a bunch of fucking midgets, like 5'8" to 5'9" is like the tallest person in my family, and then there's me, and it's like yeah. So I ended up getting diagnosed with brain cancer for the first time when I was 13, and my dad was already a grower. Illegally. My grandfather was a grower. My brother was a grower, and they all knew about the benefits of cannabis. So my dad started treating me with edibles, and like this is years after I had already smoked cannabis. So like I'm not a advocate of child use of cannabis, but like I do have a myriad of mental conditions that have just like recently been controlled by prescriptions. So like where cannabis didn't become a needed thing for me. So when I started cannabis, I was 5. Just stealing like half joints out of my dad's ashtray and just go and smoke them and fucking like level out and then be able to like focus on my schoolwork. As fucking weird as it sounds, being able to like actually get my homework done. From there, I was getting treated by my dad with these edibles because like I've seen and he's seen what the traditional cannabis or traditional cancer treatments have done to people. My mom, for example, has gone through all the traditional cancer treatments, and she ended up dying after 14 years of radiation and chemo and fucking radiation and chemo and surgeries and fucking everything else removed that can be removed from a fucking human body before you're just hooked up to machines. It's so he didn't want me to go that route. I ended up eating cannabis, got cured that time. The next time I was 16. It was a random fluke. I've been getting migraines my whole life where like half my body goes numb, like a line dead center of my body. My face droops. I can't like talk coherently. I can't walk. Like it's like I have a fucking stroke. And the side that went numb completely changed, like just randomly. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I went in, got looked out, had 2 tumors. Stage 4, there's another tumor starting on my fucking lymph node. All right, fuck it, let's go. And I'm just doing like, this is before I know any of the science behind any of it, right? So all I'm doing is getting as much variants and strains as I can. I'm boiling the shit out of it, adding coconut oil to the boiling water after about like 20 minutes of boiling it out, just like you'd make like bud butter. And then I would cool it down in the fridge, pull off the coconut oil, and then eat that like a motherfucker. And that's the way I've treated myself the first 3 times, actually. And then this 4th time, I've been doing, since I've been in the industry, like I got in the industry by sheer fluke and passion for patients. I'm really good at what I do. I'm really passionate about what I do. And whatever the fuck I care about, that's what's going to fucking happen. It doesn't matter. And when people are coming into the industry and trying to take the license out from my my patients that I'm taking care of, because before I got into the commercial industry, I had 191 patients that I was personally responsible for. I went and set up their grows, each patient's grows individually for them. Patients with MS, I had switch boards and shit so they could flip on and off switches to like empty the reservoirs and fill them back up, and automatic nutrient dosing systems that I was making out of old fucking equipment from like hospitals and shit, like the pumps for IVs and stuff, and just like jerry rigging everything to make people's lives easier, like patients' lives easier. And then these people come in and they're like, fuck it. We're going to take all their licenses, and you don't know what you're doing. Your patients don't know what you're doing. We know what we're doing. We have all this money. We wear suits. Fuck you guys. It's essentially how it went. I went into the open house, ripped apart their master grower because they had a 8-week grow schedule, like from grow to like start to finish. And then walked out the door after this little dude in a suit comes up to me because I'm freaking out at their master grower, and the one CEO, his name's Chuck Rafiki, freaking out at them like, what the fuck is this type of shit? This little guy in a suit comes up and he's like, oh, I was thinking about investing a bunch of money in this place. I'm like, fuck that. I took out his cloth handkerchief out of his pocket. I used to have a Sharpie around my neck on my lanyard with my keys for my Honda, and then fucking wrote for a good time, called Dave and my number on his like silk handkerchief and crammed it back in his fucking suit. Before I got home, which was like almost an hour away, I got a call. Hey, let's do lunch. I'm like, fuck you. I'll see you for breakfast tomorrow. I'm almost home. I fucking go meet him where he wanted to meet me for breakfast. And fucking, he's like, so I lied to you. And I'm like, what the fuck about? And he's like, I'm actually the owner of the place. I'm Bruce Linton. And that's the founder of Tweed and Canopy Growth Corp. Canopy Growth Corp's built off the back of Tweed, which is also built off the back of me. And I kind of got fucked in a plethora of ways through that company, but it is what it is. I'm showing them what's up now. Having intellectual property rights for your grow rooms is kind of fun. Yeah. So then go midway through that first contract with Tweed, bang, zoom, third cancer comes in. And I'm like, fuck. So I'm doing distillates and isolates. I essentially have unlimited capital. Like, I'm used to doing budget grows, like setting up fucking grows for people under wholesale licenses that I have for all these companies that allow me to buy wholesale off of them, so I could get fucking grow tents for like $60 and then put them in the house and charge them $60. You know what I mean? And so I'm not making a dime. Fuck, I just tracked. Where was I going? Lev.
So you were talking about, well, what I wanted to find out was about the doctors who were telling you that, no, you have this amount of time to live and all that.
Oh,
and,
yeah, that's been all four of them. I've been told 6 months. This last time I went and I got this, I was in this immunotherapy trial that got fucked by COVID. I was like 6 weeks into this trial, and the trial was supposed to be a 6-month trial. And my oncologist, who was heading up the trial, asked me not to do my cannabis medications. And so the trial got canceled. The immunotherapy didn't kick in, and my brain cancer had progressed exponentially. Like, to the extent of, from the time that I left Ontario till the time I got home in BC, they told me, because I had an MRI when I left, like 2 days before I left, and I had one when I got to BC, that my cancer had grown 25% of the overall size. And that was a 3-day trip. It was a 3-day fucking trip. So in 5 days total, my cancer had grown 20%. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like,
so you're in a position, I take it, where it's like you're constantly battling against this dragon cancer with the knights of your assembly of cannabis knights. And do you think that every time, like, do you need more and more every time, or is it pretty level where you could say, okay, now I need to do this exact same amount and it's going to go back to
the variance right now is more like that's where I was going with it, the clinical distillation and isolates and shit like that of it, because I didn't know any of that shit before getting engrossed into the like large legal communities and shit, mainly because the equipment to do a lot of this shit's like hundreds of thousands of fucking dollars. And I'm like,
Yeah, no, thanks. I'll stick to my dabs. I got my free circ. I'm good. So this last time, as we were talking about earlier, my dosing, well, I'm up to about close to 100,000 milligrams across the spectrum, like THC, CBD, CBN, and CBG, and that's daily.
Holy
God.
shit.
That's
Wow.
that's daily. That's 10,000 milligrams minimum of THC a day, and everything else is in CBN, CBD, and CBG. I have vape juices. I have dabs that are crazy fucking high with CBD distillates. I got fucking edibles left and right. There hasn't been a meal in the last fucking like 6 weeks that I haven't fucking eaten that has like, I don't know, enough everything to kill a horse or 5. But it's the downside is that you guys have seen me smoke cannons this entire fucking stream and I don't get buzzed, but it does help with my anxiety still. So perks, right? Fuck, like it's.
And cancer runs in your family, you said?
Well, my mom got cancer from I don't know if you know the company Dealcraft out of like Kitchener, Waterloo. They used to make all the fucking cherry furniture and shit. Well, she worked in the veneer section with the ammonia glue with no ventilation or mass or anything. So all her cancer is attributed to ammonia in the glues.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
so like and for me, I think it's just an anomaly, but it's just been like Lev said, a constant fucking battle with the dragon. It's just like every time I fucking stop treating myself, like even for like I did a 3-month fucking in the bucket because they wouldn't give me bail because of previous things. But I didn't do shit. They kicked in my legal medical grow, my licensed legal medical grow that was under plants. I had under quantities. I didn't have any distillates or isolates or any extraction equipment on site, nothing. And they just came in, kicked in my plants and put me in a bucket for 3 months. And that's what activated the 3rd batch of cancer. It's actually what got me heavily involved in like, what the fuck are these assholes trying to do now? You guys are trying to kick in my legal grow? Like, what? I'm going about this legally and you guys are still fucking around? Like, come on, I've never had black mold in my life. I've never had spider mites in my life.
Fucking
or
leaves.
powdery mildew. What the fuck? Like,
the day of the rake cannot come soon enough. That's all I can
Don't they
Uh.
say that childhood cancers they have a better recovery, or well, a terrible recovery, but it just, I don't know, I guess maybe
in the brain region, it's a better recovery. Like it's a way, like right now, like my typing, my memory, like I space cadetted there really hard. Like in the middle of talking, I will just and just it's gone.
But are you undergoing any sort of surgery or chemo or nothing? Or?
Fuck no. I ain't ever gonna do that shit. That shit can go hoop a million dicks on stage in front of its fucking mother. I'm never gonna touch any of that shit, man. I watched my mom get addicted to pain pills, every fucking type, from fucking Oxycontin to morphine state, like all of it, bro. All of it is just terrible. Just because she wanted to try and kill something inside of her before it killed her. And then ended up having to have 3/4 of her fucking body removed anyways. Like, come on, man. Like when you sit there and watch your mom pissing and shitting out of a bag attached to their side, that's the moment where you're like, yeah, this shit's fucked up. Like her moment has come and passed, and she said as much for like the last like 5 years. She's like, I don't want to be here anymore. And like when the quality of life deteriorates to that fucking level, I'm not saying chemo and radiation doesn't have its purpose, but right now in the like every time I've gotten it, it's been in my frontal lobe and somewhere around my spinal cord for like the base of my brainstem for some reason.
And it makes surgery very difficult in those.
Well, it's not only just that. Radiation and chemo will fucking irreversibly change who the fuck I am. Like I could walk into a treatment, one person, and walk out not knowing who the fuck I am, not knowing how the fuck to speak, not knowing how the fuck to walk or talk, or who my friends are, or who I love, or what makes me so inspired and passionate in this fucking world. And to lose any of that, I would rather die right fucking now than fucking lose that. Ever. Like, period. What kind of life is it if you don't know who the fuck you are?
And that's what the whole memory is based upon, like identity and stuff. Like even just a small part of yourself, like brain-wise, just like you fuck with the brain. Like don't do fucking brain surgery, just generally. Just
well,
I'm already manic-y enough, like, you know, like I just like I'm pretty amped up human being and shit.
Hell yeah.
So like,
Yeah, I
let's
wouldn't
not
have
fuck
guessed
with the
any-
part of the brain that allows me to put a grasp on
Exactly.
that little devil. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like fucking,
But when
I can
That's-
put that
next-
into a grow
I
room
can't
and I'm
imagine
happy.
being in that situation. I'm very sorry, man.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck, dude, it's all good. Don't
Sounds
feel sorry
fucked, but
for
at
me,
least you're
bud.
not Christian, man. At least you're
This
not
is
Christian. man.
the this is the point of this conversation. Like, there's a whole subsect of people that are like, all this shit should be fucking illegal, and I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Like, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, but
There's
those
people who
people
are
don't know most of the time. though. They
exactly.
can't get
All I
involved.
have to say to
It's
those
either
people,
fuck you, you're a piece of
sympathize
shit,
with-
or you just don't know. Like,
Those
there
people
are
just
people who
have
are
to-
suffering on a level that you literally cannot imagine, and these are kinds of things that, yeah, maybe they may not be the best thing for everybody, but then don't fucking do it. That's you, dude.
When
They're
I
there
watch-
for people, and like, this is exactly the point, man. This is
when I
powerful.
watch little girls, like specifically one little girl, you guys may know the story or not. I'm not about to blast it. When I watch a little girl who I helped develop a strain for, specifically, who was having upwards of 100 seizures a day, go from the first time I meet her, giving her some of my own personal gummy bears, to having no seizures for the rest of that fucking day, and then her parents like begging me to, whatever it takes, we'll sell our house, whatever, and then I send them a fucking garbage bag full of gummies. You know what I mean? And I don't want a fucking dime. I didn't want a dime. And like, she's now in school, she now has friends, she now go like, and then people want to go in and like, oh well, this person's a fucking stoner or whatever. Well, you should be fucking lucky that he didn't find heroin, or didn't find hookers, or didn't find gambling. It's like, come on, man. Those people are fucking waste. Those people are gonna be waste. It doesn't fucking matter. If you lose your passion to fucking live, then you've lost your passion to fucking live. If you lose your drive to move forward, then you've lost your fucking drive. It has nothing to do with cannabis. Nothing. I've been smoking weed longer than a lot of people on this stream or who watch this stream have probably been fucking alive. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Like, it's been almost 30 years I've been smoking weed. Like, every fucking day. Even when I was in the bin. Every day.
Especially when you're in the bin.
Yo, man. Fuck, man.
Well, you got to a way
crazy.
different level than a lot of other people did, including
And-
Lee
and I-
Syed. I think Lee got to a close level. Do you think you have the record, by the way, of the amount of THC that any human being has taken, or is
I
that...
have by far the record for the biggest back-to-back dabs, which is 2 grams, 2 2-gram dabs back to back, like
Holy
on the
shit.
exhale,
How are you still
inhaling
walking?
another
Iron
fucking
lung.
dab.
How are you walking?
Okay, so I like fuck, like I have ADHD. I don't know if any of you can tell. So like my whole life, not really having much supervision, I've done various things. So like I have machines and shit in my shop and whatever. So I turned a titanium nail that was like this big and used like an induction coil for like machining and stuff to go around it, and the whole mass, like it stayed at like 670-ish degrees for I don't know an hour after it was fucking shut off. It was so hot, just blasted that bitch. And then that was for a dab rig from Redbeard Glass, actually.
Do you have dreams, or like what is the dream department like?
My dreams have been gone since before I even remember having them in. But like again, like I probably more circumstance of like growing up in the hood and like having to, you know, survive.
So what is like? Hold on, with the dream department, so you don't have like anything? Is it like blank, or is it just like very, very, very basic?
I don't think he means like
It's
legitimate
nah,
dreams.
it's
He
like
means,
it's like there's none. Or do you mean like
Like, do you remember
aspirations?
anything? Do you,
Yeah,
no, but
no,
do you
no,
know?
no,
like,
Glad
like,
means
dreams.
dreams.
Literal
I
dreams.
thought you were
Literal
talking about
dreams.
sleeping dreams. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
literal
thought you were
dreams.
talking aspirations.
Yeah.
No, like no, like sleeping dreams. I don't.
Yeah, literal
fucking-
sleeping
yeah,
dreams.
I
Yeah.
don't-
I
don't know.
didn't have dreams when I was smoking weed.
If you smoke enough weed, if you smoke enough weed for long enough, you don't stop dreaming. By the way,
That's-
you don't stop dreaming. That's what everybody.
You just don't rem-
who-
don't
yeah,
recall
you just
it.
don't
Oh,
remember
no, I
that at
don't
all. But it's
smoke
like a
really,
void, dude. It's like a void. You don't like. It's like you didn't dream, bro. There was nothing.
When
there.
I
But this
fuck
is
with
why-
some when
to
I
you.
fuck with some nootropics and shit, I can remember them. But no,
Uh-huh.
like I've gone into sleep studies and shit, and they're telling me that like I don't reach a REM sleep. It's one of the formations in my brain. Like I get like 3 to 4 hours a night if I'm lucky, and those 3 to 4 hours I probably roll around 50 to 60 times. So, and I wake up and I'm like, all right, well I'm up, let's go, fucking bam.
Yeah, well, that's you. That's you versus the drugs.
You
Yeah.
know, if
You're
you
probably gonna
when you know
die
the-
like before with like some kind of like brain thing due to like lack of sleep than cancer at this point. Like, do you think so?
Probably
it
not.
definitely has
Like
to have something to-
I don't have any of the symptoms of exhaustion. Like I just actually fucking, as this podcast was going on, got the results of like 4 days of fucking blood work that I've done. And yeah, they're saying that all my levels are fucking low with the exception of one that is indicative of extraneous exercise or some shit. And I'm like, all right, well, I was fucking hiking up and down the mountains with my dogs. That's probably that. So it is what it is. Like I
Yeah,
don't
it is
really
what it is.
care. It kind of, I notice irritability after lack of sleep, and that's about the gist of it.
But
But
have
like,
they-
no matter
have
how
they
much
given
weed I
you,
do or anything, it doesn't do shit.
You said that you've done like 14 grams of mushrooms, so I assume
Yeah,
you've already.
oh, yeah.
I assume
Dude,
you've
like-
already spoken to God. How do you feel about the temporal nature of your existence? Or has it made you prepared for this?
Mushrooms have never made me speak to God. The most hallucinogenic off mushrooms I've ever gotten. Well, laughing so hard, tears are streaming down my face and my abs hurt. Every time I blinked, my girlfriend at the time's hair would change color, and that was the most
Wait, you got no aliens?
hallucinogenic I've never had any.
You got no aliens on
That's
films
crazy
with
when
that
you
much.
did
Most
14 grams.
visuals I've
Even
ever
I
seen
got
on
aliens.
like a heroic dose
Aliens
was
are
watching
part
a
of the
strawberry
experience.
breathe.
So the only fucking, this is another life altering experience I had from another drug, DMT,
Oh, yes.
particularly ayahuasca. After my mom died, I kind of went a little fucking ham, and just became someone that I wasn't proud to be, and someone who my friends didn't want to be around anymore, and one of
Yeah,
my
I don't
best
really
friends,
blame you at all, to be
No,
honest.
one
With
of my-
all your
one of-
stuff that's going on. You know.
whatever, bro. Fuck, that's this much. Trust me. If you ever get into a me and Lev podcast sometime, fucking, that'll be a 3-hour podcast just for the intro. But yeah, so my boy Jay Hoots used to ride mountain bikes with me. Came and he's like, "Yo, we're going on a trip." I'm like, fuck it. I always got a go bag because like I was riding mountain bikes for a living, so I just got a backpack and we fucking hopped the plane. And we're down in fucking Brazil. He's like, "I want you to try this," and I'm like, whatever. Didn't fucking prepare whatsoever. Didn't fast whatsoever. Fucking didn't purge whatsoever, which apparently is like super rare. But came into contact with the closest thing that I've ever come into contact with that you could call God. I think Rogan says it the best. It's a geometric pattern of love and understanding. Like it just like tells you what you need to hear, and it told me I'd rather be remembered for the hugs that I give than the hatred in my heart.
Love it.
And it
Oh.
changed my entire fucking existence. I fucking bawled my eyes out for like 3 days, realizing how much of a fucking shitheel I'd been to the people that had stayed strong and true to me. I got back fucking home. I went and bought the school an entire fucking computer lab. I dumped my entire year's fucking salary into the fucking local school. Like, I just said, fuck it, let's go. Next generation's our generation. Let's do it. And yeah, it felt good doing it. And my whole life has kind of just been changed since. Even the fact of going to the bin, whatever, like that's after that journey. So it's been a pretty adventurous life, to say the least.
Do you think that because of that experience, do you still fear death?
I've never feared death, ever.
I mean, especially when the fucking doctors are like telling you, surely you cannot fear death. Or when someone's telling you you're going to die in 6 months, you know.
Doctors are idiots.
It's kind of like
Fundamentally.
fucking, like I've done what the fuck I've wanted to do since like the age of like 7 or 8. You know what I mean? Like I've done what the fuck I want to do. Like period. It didn't matter what the fuck happened. I did what I wanted to do. Like it's just
I love your accent, by the way. I don't know if that's a
Yeah,
Canadian
I'm
thing.
noticing it.
whether it's like hustling to like chocolate bars that I jacked out of the fucking corner store to like pay rent for my mom who didn't know how the fuck the money was coming into her purse. Like shit that me and my brother did. Like I had an older brother and fucking we fucked shit up, man. Like we just, yeah, just life is adventurous, man. And just want to be good in it now. It's like it's been like that for a minute. Like I'm a licensed mechanic. There hasn't been a car at the side of the road that I haven't stopped for in like 8 years. Like no jokes. I have an entire toolkit
To
in
be
my
fair
trunk of
though,
my
you're
car.
so tall
It's
you could probably kick
hilarious.
their ass. To be fair, you're tall enough that you could just like smash them if they try something.
But I'm also the type of guy that before I'd ever want to punch him in the face, I'd want to give him a hug.
Wait,
You
well,
know?
you
so
can
the
do
whole,
both.
hold on a
You can
second
give them
with
like
the height. Like
Pardon?
how? So you're really tall, right? Really
Yeah,
tall.
yeah.
Have you heard of that thing where like the giants have that tumor on a part of their brain?
Yeah,
that's
that was
what
the
happened.
first. That was the first brain tumor I had.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was
yeah,
on my
yeah.
pituitary
That's what I
gland.
thought, yeah.
They have done studies where taller people, like abnormally taller people, do have susceptibilities to certain cancers, but that's kind of like
Man, let's rise
lifestyle
up.
studies
Man,
are kind
let's
of
rise
bullshit in
up.
my opinion. I don't know. I think it's
Man, let's
incredibly
take
hard.
tumors.
Like to me, I think it's hard to correlate certain like apart from like exposure to chemicals, certain like lifestyle factors to like your tendency towards I don't know. I think there's a lot of genetic basis to cancer, but I don't know. There's people that say that a lot of it is environmental, but I mean certainly certain things are environmental obviously when it comes to
Well,
cancer, but
cancer is just like the mitochondrial DNA changing, and
yeah,
it's not even
yeah.
a much of a change. Like it's literally one fucking allele will have one sort of like beep on a one chain of the DNA chain that just codes it to stop. The original coding is to tell it to stop growing, like you've reached the
Right.
right
Yeah,
size.
it's every
But
cancer
like
is
a
an
cancer
overgrowth, yeah.
cell is the exact same as all the cells around it. It just has that one little tweak in the mitochondrial DNA that doesn't tell it to shut the fuck off.
And how does the cannabis work regarding it? How does it stop the cancer from developing?
So like that's a whole topic for like someone way more fucking qualified than myself, man. Like that, like how does it do it? I don't fucking know. It's like a cannabidiol relationship. Like the cannabidiol system is
But does it kill the cancer cells? What exactly does it do to them?
It doesn't kill them so much as like makes them more it would be like putting a cell to sleep that's not supposed to be asleep, so all the other cells around it can see that it for what it is. It boosts your immune system into detecting it, is the way that it's been explained to me. But like again, I come from the hood. I grow weed for a living. I don't grow fucking vegetables. I don't grow flowers. I grow fucking weed. I try to teach botanists how to grow weed, and it's fucking infuriating to me. It's like, how the fuck do you teach a motherfucker to touch a plant leaf and tell him this is what it feels like to me when it needs this? And it's like
so you'd say that your hands have developed a sensitivity over time that you can just touch a plant and instantly tell.
It's almost it's like an intuition. It's like it's very much like an intuition. I can be driving down fucking the road, and out here there's like hemp fields and shit. I called the fucking hemp farmer 2 days before he was about to lose his entire crop to botrytis. 2 days. I'm like, dude, you fucking got botrytis on the lower branches of your fucking shit. I smell it driving down the fucking highway. Deal with it. If you don't fucking deal with it, you're going to lose everything. And I know you're making fucking CBD and shit with it. Do something. And I didn't get a response back, whatever. I fucking called the next day. That time I actually got to talk to a person like, oh, you're the person that called yesterday. Hold on. And then transfer me to their fucking research department. I'm like, pull the crop now. And they're like, how the fuck did you know? I'm like, I smelt it driving down the highway, smoking a joint. I smelt the botrytis in the fucking plants. And it's like, you guys would have lost your entire crop in another 2 days.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't teach this shit. You can't teach this shit. This is like trying to get Jimi Hendrix to teach you how he plays.
See the weed whisperer.
My
That's what it sounds like.
my oldest
he's a natural he's
my oldest memory is I was like 3 years old. I'm sitting on my dad's lap with a bud and a pair of Crayola scissors trimming a bud and then giving it to him to put on the barbecue because I wasn't high enough to put it on the barbecue shelf thing so his buddy could hang it up on the lines in the backyard. So like that's my oldest memory. Like I've grown up in this industry. Like I've grown up with weed. My brother's known for strains. I got 14 High Times cups. I got fucking tons and tons of other accolades through various different local conventions and shit. I had a podcast called Everyday Cannabis. Like it's just
And is that what got you to Lee Syatt?
Lee Syatt actually, it was
So I've known Joey since like back when he was actually allowed in Canada, because Joey, the owner of the underground cafe in Toronto, is another friend of mine. Her and her.
But just so everybody knows who we're talking about here, we're talking about Joey Coco Diaz.
Yeah. So like through him.
Cocksucker.
Yeah, pretty much.
The
Better be slinging dick.
He came up here. And the way I met him was he was at Joey's establishment. Joey and me have been friends for a minute. And then he like is sitting at the employee table, the VIP table. It's a fucking bunch of picnic tables in the fucking area. Fuck off. Anyways, he's sitting there and he just looks me dead in the eyes like, if you don't get me an ounce of weed, I'm going to get some blow. I'm like, bro, here. And I fucking just opened my bag and threw him an ounce of weed. I'm like, you want some edibles, bro? Like, fucking just, I was stacked, man, because I was doing everything legally and completely above board at the time.
In Minecraft.
And in Minecraft, yeah. So, like, it was just like, that's how I met him. And then Lee came in with Dean Del Rey and fucking Red Band, and I've known Red Band for a minute, and I've known Joe for a minute, and I've known all those boys for a minute. So when they came down to Toronto, I fucking missioned like the 3.5-hour drive down there with fucking £1.5 of mushrooms, bunch of weed, bunch of hash, bunch of dabs, fucking just like going ham. And we just got all fucked up. I made Brian Red Band puke rainbows and shit. But like Lee was there, and we went to the Comedy Underground after Steve Simone's show and Dean Del Rey's show. And then we went to the Comedy Underground, and Lee heard that I was in the crowd, because like we'd been talking and whatever. And he's like, no fucking way, as if you're here. And I'm like, yeah, man, what's up? And I introduced myself to him. He introduces me on the stage pretty much. And everybody there found out I was like working for Tweed at the time. They're like, boo. And I'm like, fuck off. Like, all of you fucking guys, I don't give a shit. All you guys would take those motherfuckers' money too. They don't listen to me, but I still take the fucking money. Shit. But yeah, that's how I met Lee. Was like him just randomly interviewing me right then and there. I haven't actually met him face to face up until that point. And then we just hit it off. We fucking hung out for a minute. I was going to actually drive back down to Toronto because I was with my bitch at the time, and I was going to drop her back off at home and then come back down to Toronto, which is like 4 hours each way.
What I really like about Joey Diaz is, he is very, a very interesting character, but also his approach to weed is similar to the one that Tony Hinchcliffe has, which I don't know if you met Tony, but he was also on a show, on a live stream of ours a couple of months ago. But anyway, one thing that Joey said was that when he goes into the weed store, he wants the hardest motherfuckers they have because he wants to see the devil. And I like that because it's like a lot of people in California, from what I take it, it's very, like, oh my God, like this whole oh my God energy, which is very low tier.
I just want one hit. Just one hit.
Everybody wants to know where the fucking microdosing came from. Sorry.
Microdosing is for losers.
It's not for losers.
Microdosing
if it helps you, then that's fine.
Well, yeah,
but then to shit on fucking actual
I'm talking about Cody's microdosing for no reason. I'm not talking about people with brain tumors who are cool and doing their own shit. I'm talking about people who want to leave.
What I mean more is that it seems like there is a hug box mentality, not just in California, but in general, where people just want to feel comfy. And what Joey Diaz does is something that I used to do as well.
Where everybody wants a fucking safe space, man. Guess what? The world ain't fucking safe, you cocksucker. You're gonna stub your fucking toe. Get used to it.
Exactly.
Get used to it. The sooner you get the fuck used to it, the sooner you're gonna get strong. Once you get strong, you can get good.
Fuck blue cheese or fuck your mother.
This is why I want to go to fucking Papua New Guinea. I feel like the fucking bullet ant will make like a man out of anything.
No, dude, you're just gonna get eaten by the pygmies. They're gonna eat you, dude.
But exactly, that's what I mean. I've got to fucking go there. If I get out of Papua New Guinea alive after meeting
And
the tribe.
the pygmies aren't in Papua New Guinea. They're in the
I
Congo.
agree.
No, I'm talking
agree.
about Papua New Guinea. It's like
Yeah, I
fucking
know.
bullet ant. The most painful thing. If you can get stung by that.
Yanomamo tribe of Papua New Guinea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Yanomamo who just eat your ass every time.
If you get stung by that, like the bullet ant like ritual, if you can like survive that, it's like you fucking deserve to live.
I don't know.
can't
I
imagine,
had
like loads
I
of
had
people
2 fingers cut off by an ex-girlfriend. There's some nice
Holy
flaws.
shit.
I had my knee blown out through the side of my leg, and then
hold on.
like,
What's this with the
hobbled.
ex-girlfriend thing? Did he talk about this already, or are we gonna need to talk
that
about
is new.
Talk about the girlfriend. No. You're talking about the girlfriend
Yeah,
now.
she's an ex-wife actually. Ugh,
Ex-wife.
Holy shit.
You're talking about that now.
Yeah,
That's
fuck
amazing.
that landed. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, she fucking was like, I went out to my boy's house to go get all her birthday gifts because I didn't want a fucking 6-foot gun teddy bear and a box of fucking chocolates and 6 dozen fucking roses just sitting in our apartment because it's kind of obvious. Fuck. So I leave for like 10 minutes, go down the street. I come back and she's like fucking got my flip open X-Acto knife on her fucking wrist. And it's the woman I fucking love. I do what any fucking man would. I grabbed that fucking knife, man. She pulled it out of my hand. There goes tips of 2 of my fingers. Fuck yeah, I didn't even give a shit about that. I fucking grab her wrist with my other arm. Fucking take the knife right out of her hand with my bloody fucking fingers. Throw it in the fucking kitchen. Look at her wrist to make sure that she's okay. She just got some scratches on it and shit. I'm like, why the fuck you doing that? And like my fucking blood just squirting at the ceiling and shit. She's like, do something about that. I'm like, fuck you. Why the fuck you doing that shit? What's wrong with you? Yeah. But then I had my knee blown through my side of my leg, jumping off of a fucking 130-foot building on a mountain bike and missing my landing. So I probably actually went like 160 feet into an asphalt parking lot instead of my nice
I feel like the
grassy
doctors who
transition.
said you were gonna die don't know you well enough. Like you do all this shit and then it's just like,
No,
Oh,
this is
man.
what happens.
you're gonna fucking live
This is
to
what
like
happens,
60.
Zeke.
live.
This guy just lives.
I'm
When
a
your
Jew.
life has been
I'm too
taken from
stubborn
you.
to fucking die. I don't have an afterlife. I'm a Jew. I don't
Oh,
have an
that's
what it
afterlife.
is,
I'm
that
too
fucking-
stubborn to die right now.
The
I'm
fucking
not
hunter
dying
and
right
hunter
now.
quote
Wait, show me your
immediately
shirt.
The way,
brings
Left
the
show
way
your
the
shirt.
samurai is death. You choose death over life in a 50-50 situation.
All right,
Yeah,
check
you-
the shirt out. I'm gonna spotlight it. Here we go. One more time.
Hamasko. Syed Hamasko.
Man, I would. By the way, I'm trying to get in touch with Lee. I would love to have him on BTR. I just don't know like what the best way, because like he's not picking up the phone.
Yeah,
I don't
everything's
know.
been kind of like it's really just up in the air, I guess. Like since all that crap happened in his personal
Yeah.
life, and then Joey coming to Jersey and all that shit, and
Chat's wanting to ask if you're in Surrey, by the way. I don't know what the fuck this means.
I'm
Surrey's like a really
who
boring
wants
place.
that?
The
Nah,
chat,
nah.
a couple people in chat. Okay, you're not from Surrey.
I'm
Because Surrey's like
I'm
a really
close.
bland place over here, so
No, I'm close to Surrey. Straight.
that's probably
Yo,
why
I'm
they're
like,
mentioning it.
yo, I'm in Van City, man.
Oh
Okay.
shit. See, I think this is the point here, right? Is like you can have people who do a lot of drugs and they're fucking annoying and they're like losers because that becomes their whole life. Or you can have guys like this guy who does a lot of drugs, but his life is living his life. That's the point.
He
his
needs
life
them
isn't...
to live like in Crank, though. So
Yeah,
okay.
it's like yeah, exactly. He's literally the crank guy, except it's weed, which is amazing.
Well, the
Which
problem,
is-
Remus, is that most people can't handle the unbearable burden of their own freedom. So
Yes,
that would extend
they
mentally
become
as well.
they can't like it even becomes like as simple as the things like I want to see the devil. Like people who do that shit, they learn right away. Like
It's like today I'm dunking on Vaush with his terrible art takes. I mean, if we let Vaush have his own opinions, it's fucking terrible.
His name is FDR, not Vaush.
What's FDR's bad art takes? I want to hear him.
Well,
what is Vaush's real name, by the way? What is?
Are we doxing Vaush?
What is it?
According to Nick's Fuentes, it's Ian.
It's nonce.
Yeah,
That's what his
yeah.
real
Nonce.
name
There you
is.
go. Nonce.
Yeah, that's his real name.
So guys, I think this is pretty much the end of the stream right now, but I just wanted to say, yes, I just wanted to say that Dave, your story is like you are one of these people who, like, you know, that whole Braveheart quote about, you know, how does that go? Not everybody truly lives, you know, that one. So I think that you are truly living. in
Man,
the
let's
sense
do
that
a
you're
podcast like one on one
Facts.
sometime, dude.
I would fucking love that.
You have the will of D, and you are you definitely have
Exactly.
Conqueror's hockey, buddy.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
I just fucking, I
This
just
is royal
live
hockey
life to
right
the
here.
fullest. I respect everybody. Honor's key. If you don't fucking have honor, then you have fucking nothing. If you don't have honor, then you need to do something about it so you got some, because
Hell yeah.
without it, you're nothing.
This is
Yeah.
kingship,
Loyalty.
boys. This is
One
kingship.
piece.
Yeah.
Let me just say that next time, Lev, I really hope that you can find someone who really wants to put me in prison for using drugs. Because I'd like to
I
fucking.
really
I'd put you in
tried.
prison.
If you
Oh,
want, I
God.
can make
really
that
tried.
case.
Put
Let's
yourself
get,
in your
let's
own
get
prison
Donnie
by
Tiny
doing
hands
too
up on
many.
this shit.
When
You
I'm
put
king,
yourself in the
when I'm
mind prison
king-
before you get put into prison. So don't worry.
I'm
Gio,
king,
make
Harry
the
Potter
argument so
fan.
I can yell at you, please.
When I'm king,
Well, I'm
Harry
just-
Potter fans.
I just said
and,
most people don't deserve their own freedom. What do you
and
including
a few other
myself?
people are going
Wait,
to
what
prison.
about the Harry Potter fans?
I said when I'm king, Harry Potter fans are definitely first in line, but after that,
They're already in their own prison.
This
No,
is the
fine.
hammer.
Are going to
In
prison.
actuality, under a lot
So,
of
wait,
monarchical
you
systems,
see-
people did have an amount of freedoms that we don't even
what
know
the
nowadays.
fuck?
You see this hammer? This is
Whoa.
going to be
Yeah.
used on the Harry Potter fans.
Yes. That is the execution
Jesus
method.
Christ.
This fucker,
Sick.
I'm not even fucking with you. Hold on, let me take this cord off my headphones. I ain't even fucking with you. This thing weighs probably 110 pounds. It's
That's
all
That's
cast
beautiful.
brass.
Wow.
Wow.
It's appraised at about 65.
You've got like the Nephilim
American.
blood inside of you. That's why you're so tall. You can wield the mighty hammer.
Yeah, my old lady built it actually.
That's amazing.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, she's
Oh, I
outside
see. You got the anime posters behind you. Holy fuck!
Yeah,
I
so
Yeah,
I'm making
dude.
all the One Piece references.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, One Piece,
Come on,
man.
bro.
Yeah.
He is the will
Look
of
at that.
D.
Yeah.
He has the will of D. He has Conqueror's hockey. He's definitely.
this.
He's definitely.
Wow.
Based.
Whoa.
Look at
Nice.
this. And he's even
He's
got him
from
low
Elbaf.
like you
He's
should.
from Elbaf.
Yo, hold on. You guys got to see
He's a
this
giant.
door knocker that she built. I swear to God, it's worth it. It's fucking worth it, man. It is the most banging door knocker. Everybody's gonna want one, but they're gonna cost far too much. Check this shit out.
Oh my god.
That is amazing. He even has a
So
penis.
this bolts to your fucking door.
That's a door ornament rather
This
than a door knocker.
this is the knocker, bud. It's got a fucking fairy in the knocker.
That's
It's made it so
amazing.
crazy.
Oh.
Dude,
Wow,
like,
she's incredibly
yeah, she's a
talented.
Wow.
savage, bro. You should see the. Oh, yeah, I love her so much.
That's
She's so
amazing.
talented. Yeah.
Well, so guys, this is fucking it right here. How can we top
Epic
this?
So
podcast,
fun.
guys.
This is amazing. Listen, we're gonna have a Christmas special, the BTR Christmas special, this Thursday.
Happy
24th.
Hanukkah, all you fucking
Happy
Jews.
Hanukkah. Da, 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 da,
Little Judo Magiana Clay.
Hey!
Little Judo can't press the gourd today. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And on the 31st, New Year's, we're having a New Year's stream as well.
And tomorrow's
I would
my
love-
birthday.
Woo! Happy
birthday,
birthday,
buddy.
Gio.
Happy birthday.
New
How
Year's.
old are you? How old are you
30-year-old
gonna be?
boomer.
30? Are you
No,
30?
I'm going to be 28.
28.
So
Okay.
years away from
Welcome.
30-year-old boomer.
Inching close.
Youngling.
Inching close.
Inching close to
Yes.
wizard.
you will
Also
turn to
inching
dust.
close to wizard status, if people know what that is.
Oh,
Happy solar return,
your
Capricorn.
powers will come.
You mean
Hopefully.
Grand Wizard status? Is that what we're going for?
Oh god.
Oh, no!
Oh
Wiz-
dear.
Gio's too
Do
base
not
for
Google Wizard Chan, please. It's
Yeah.
a place. It's a black pit. It's a black pit of despair. Wizard
Well,
Chan.
now I have to because you told me not to.
that.
It's
Alright,
basically
guys.
not
Imagine
having
all the
sex. That's what
incels
he's
that
talking
left
about.
4chan went to Wizard Chan. That's
Mm.
you
That's
know
what
what
he's
I
I
talking
haven't
mean.
about.
heard of
Not
Wizard
having
Chan.
sex.
This is gonna be interesting.
No, but anyways, when what I mean by wizard is they say that they're proud of their vol cell voluntary celibate status. So when you reach 30 years
How is
old
it
as a
voluntary
virgin,
when no one's gonna fuck you?
well, I mean, you gotta have a cope. This is how I identify vol cell. So when you reach 30 years old, that is when you achieve wizardhood. You are a grandmaster. Knowledge pours out from your eyes. Wisdom is in your visage. When you are a virgin at 30 years old, you are a wizard. You are
That's actually how it
God
works.
among men.
It's the instant that you have reached 30 revolutions around the sun and your
Or-
penis has not touched a vagina.
Or you're
Yes.
just too cheap to go pay a hooker what the fuck she's worth.
Oh,
Yeah,
what is
that's
no?
like
Don't do
Like
this
Coach
hooker
Chan.
bullshit.
That's Lindy,
Get
man.
out,
That's
get
Lindy.
out.
You
You
Hooker
have to have
bullshit.
another
Not
ego
doesn't
stream
count.
now.
Yeah.
That's the Lindy
If you have
solution.
sex with a
ham.
hooker, it doesn't count.
That was last
Oh,
stream,
fuck.
buddy. That
That
was
was
last
First
last
Chan.
stream.
I
I'm
know.
just,
I know.
I'm just razzing you, bud. I'm just razzing you.
Yeah.
No,
No,
he's
We did have e-girls in the last stream, and that was a lot of fun. By the way, Chris Chan, I hope he gets, or she gets to meet with Mia Hamm one more time. I think that would be they.
More
I don't. Yeah, the they
is Chris
is also.
Chan a they now?
I think both she and they. I don't
alum.
know.
Shout out to Mia Hamm.
I consider Christine Chan though.
No,
to
what's
be like
bedazzled on her safe space?
Well, she likes to wear like a unicorn horn. And wait. By the way,
speaking of e-girls, I have to talk to you later.
Dave, do you know about Chris Chan? I mean, we're gonna go right now anyway. But out of curiosity, have you heard of Chris Chan? Have you seen the documentary? Or no knowledge whatsoever.
Oh
I'll send you the documentary from this day
you would
forward.
love this shit.
Yes.
Dude, I fucking gotta go make knives and shit, but I'm totally down to harass people after the fact.
Hell yeah. Okay. This is called, by the way, I think this is from now on going to be called christening someone. When you introduce them.
Christening someone?
Yeah, that's a good
Oh my god.
Because you're literally taking away a part of their psyche when you expose them to Chris Chan. So that's how it works.
Yeah, I thought that's how I felt when fucking Tom and Christina P introduced me to TikTok. Fuck me.
This is way
you
worse.
haven't seen Chris Chan, it's way worse.
Yeah,
it's way worse.
Let's go.
TikTok is like a.
You won't be able to drink Fanta again. You won't be able to drink Fanta again.
TikTok is like.
You gotta wear your jeans high and tight.
In the first place.
Wear those jeans high and tight.
I know this is on topic for the stream, but slightly off topic to what we're talking about. I just want to shout out. We did shout out Owen Broadcast earlier, but shout outs to Owen Broadcast. I did not get to say it during the stream, but I do think earlier in the stream when everybody was here. But I do think that DMT is the one substance that should probably be a little bit more, people should be a little bit more careful with as regards to psychedelics. Yeah, because it's no joke. It's no joke. Yeah. It's like giving a child an F1 car or something. But
don't get like my story with my boy just like randomly being like, we're going to do this here, we're here, do this type shit, having no prep and shit. He's known me fucking almost my whole life. You know what I mean? That motherfucker pulled me out the hood. He knew all my shit. He knew all my background, everything else. I do not recommend you do that to your friends.
Yes, yeah, because it was the one in this.
Don't Ari Shafir your friends, people.
Yes, do not do what Ari Shafir does, and also like it's
what's the deal with Ari Shafir? He like. I don't know. He fucks everybody.
Very funny comment.
He gave MDMA to Bert in front of his kids. Bert had his fucking kids, and he had Ari over for a podcast, and then dosed Bert for the first time with MDMA.
Oh
no, it was
God.
MDMA.
Oh, MDMA. Yeah, for the without him knowing.
He Clifford owned them.
Birds. Who?
Yeah.
Sorry, who did he give MDMA? His child.
Bert's father.
No, Bert Kreischer. He's a comedian.
Oh, Bert. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bert.
Sorry, I thought you said bird, like it's in his bird, like his girlfriend, like UK.
Basically, what happened is he went to his house. One comic went to another comic's house.
I get the picture.
Yeah, and dosed him with.
It wasn't just for a podcast though, man. Like he was supposed to be there for dinner and shit, and whatever.
Hilarious.
And then like fucking and then Bert's sitting there at dinner, higher than giraffe pussy, getting called out on that shit by his wife, going like, "What's wrong with you?" And then he's like, I don't know. What do you mean? And then fucking it comes out after.
That's the worst way to do drugs, Norman. Like you don't know what you're on. If you know
but like fucking at the same time on those kind of drugs, I would agree. But like fucking, then you have stories like Joey Diaz getting Bert Kreischer's dad weed popcorn for the first time, and that got him completely out of his fucking safe space, lawyery ass zone, and now he's fucking has like. Sit down conversations with Bert when before Bert didn't even know if he loved him.
Yeah, no, that's the difference. Is that there's levels to this, and that's why I brought up Owen Broadcast and the DMT specifically, is because
DMT is fucking amazing.
That's the highest level, and therefore should be taken with the most seriousness because it's not a fucking joke. It's not a game, and with all of us, especially on this podcast, we talk about shit like this a lot on a more astral level. There's something going on with DMT. It's not like, if mushrooms is you taking a little say, imagine your body laying on the ground. Mushrooms is your spirit sitting up and out of your chest. DMT is being shot out of a cannon at another planet. And if you don't know what's going to happen, or if you're not prepared for that, it's just not like, I don't think 14-year-olds should be doing that in their basement the same way that I wouldn't care if 14-year-olds were smoking weed in their basement.
I also need to
trippy around
make a
here.
PSA.
They got these vape pens that look exactly like the fucking weed vape pens, and they got fucking DMT in it. And it's
True.
not
retarded.
like just normal DMT. It's
So
like
true.
5-MeO DMT, and like
That's fucked up. Like that's fucked.
Now
That's
they got
fucked.
those.
yeah, man. And like you can buy them
DMT is
80
scary,
bucks,
for sure.
and you get like 2 grams of fucking.
Like there
Yeah,
shouldn't
you get
be
them from, like, with
SpongeBob shaped DMT shit.
But
Like you know
They
what I'm talking
have
about?
that.
But there
No,
shouldn't be
no,
SpongeBob.
but
that's- No, they
shit-
don't.
But there should not have SpongeBob
Sneed
shaped
DMT.
sugar cubes.
Sneed DMT.
Sell it as
Sneed
sugar or cereal either. You know what I mean? Like they shouldn't
I have it.
shit that's
I have
bad
another
for kids,
PSA.
Period.
I know that
And-
it's legal.
And parents are the ones who's supposed to be fucking.
I agree with
keeping an
this.
eye on
I
it.
Here's
agree.
another
This is the
PSA.
responsibility of the
Yeah.
family.
I know that it's legal,
Wait,
but
James.
people need to avoid
we can't hear you.
salvia.
You
Yeah, salvia's
agree.
fucked up.
Yeah, do not do that, please.
Salvia
Don't-
is
don't.
demonic.
I don't think it's legal anymore.
Did it?
It's not legal anymore.
Wait,
Everyone
It is
that I
where you
know
live.
that's
You,
the-
it
Hold on, I
grows
gotta see
naturally.
James. We gotta
It's a
see if
portal
we
to
can hear
hell.
James. Hold on one
It's a
second,
portal to
guys.
hell.
James, can you hear me?
I
There
can
we
You
hear
go.
think
you.
salvia is
Can you
like
hear me?
Yeah,
demonic?
we
You
can
should look
barely
up
hear you,
Datura, man.
James.
Oh,
Datura is
no,
the
no.
real demonic.
Salvia
Yeah, it's on
is.
my phone.
Dude, I've.
Okay, hold
you
on,
go
hold
to-
on.
you
We're
go
trying to
hell
hear
on
James.
Yeah, James.
What about Datura? Isn't Datura like
Whoa,
the
whoa,
worst
hold
one
on,
you can
we'll
do?
get to the
Datura
Torah. We'll
is
get to the Torah
salvia,
in a
I
second.
think, right?
Datura and salvia are derivative of each other.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
okay.
said Torah. Okay.
Yeah, I thought you said the
Torah
Yeah,
is
I thought he
psychedelic.
said
And do
Torah
not-
too. I'm
do
like,
not
are
do
you
the
kidding
Torah
me?
either.
I
Do not
thought
take
he said
the
the Torah,
Torah
so-
either. It is.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
Torah
it.
pill.
Yeah, it's okay.
Those are-
it's
I'm
okay.
kidding,
those are
I'm
If
demon
you
substances.
take the Torah, you might lose your
I know.
virginity.
The thing is, verse like that posting is so easy to do. It's crazy. I don't know.
James,
We
can you
hear
hear
you.
us? We gotta see if your volume's good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can
it's-
hear you. You're just
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's not-
I don't know what to do. I'm on my fucking phone because I'm at my parents' house, so usually I'm on my computer.
We're in the same boat here, James. We're in the same
Yeah.
boat here.
It should
I
be, it
was
should be fine,
thinking
honestly.
clean the little cum bits out of the microphone hole, and it might
Yeah.
pick up a little better.
Yeah. And anyways, I just wanted to say that I think kids should do SpongeBob and Patrick drugs, and not just SpongeBob.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
do it with their parents.
At least diversify, right? Gotta.
Yeah, maybe get
sandy cheeks.
Psilocybin gummies.
Yeah, sandy
for
cheeks.
kids.
That's what
Fill your cheeks with some sandy cheeks.
Exactly.
MDMA.
Nutrition taste.
Sandy's
That's
been
beautiful.
How much
cheeks.
Rule 34 has been made with
Fat
Sandy and
cheeks.
SpongeBob?
Oh, I
come
actually
on,
just
stop
learned.
asking
No,
this.
I actually
This
just
is
learned
no.
a very important
Unlike-
fact. The
Does
most
this smell
common
like chloroform
character,
teddy bears?
the most common character in all Rule 34 is Sonic the Hedgehog. I learned that very recently.
What?
Yes.
Oh
my
So
God.
there's
I
no
thought it would be
autism
like
more
Danny
powerful.
Phantom or
No.
something.
Oh my
Nope.
god.
No, it
Nope,
would either
Sonic the
be
Hedgehog.
Danny
Sonic-
Phantom over Sonic. Are you crazy?
The most
They
common
gave Rouge the
series.
bat breasts.
Or like
Here's
The
three different
Simpsons.
facts.
I don't know.
I got you guys. The most common series in total is Pokemon. The
Yeah.
most common individual character is Sonic, and then the most common search is Diva from Overwatch.
Diva from Overwatch,
Fucking
yeah.
hot girls.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
hey,
that
Diva's
makes sense.
also hot.
all right, here's what I'm gonna.
Best thing to come out of Overwatch.
Lev, let's just send it. We're talking about
no,
Rule 34.
no,
Yes,
no, no,
please.
Please,
Here's-
I have to go
hold
eat.
on.
I don't want to.
Hold on. I'm gonna
Gio, more
let you.
SpongeBob
I
porn.
talk about my drug
Hold
experiences,
Hold
but
on.
we're too
Let me
late on
just show
that.
you
so-
something. Let me show you something. Okay, look. This is Sandy
Holy,
Cheeks.
Lev,
everything
I don't
looks
trust
good.
what
Hold
you're
on.
about to
Look,
show us.
Hold on.
Oh
This
my
is Sandy
God.
Cheeks, right? Okay. So
What
you
are
see
you
what
gonna
she
do?
looks like. Not a lot of curvature here. Now,
Oh,
compare
my
this.
God. Oh my
No!
God.
This, I think
No,
you know
I'm
what's coming.
covering the
You know
top
what's
right of my
coming.
phone
You know what's
screen.
coming.
I'm covering the top
Demonetized.
right of my phone
Princess
screen.
Sally
Demonetized.
He
Here.
stopped,
Lev, you
stopped
have
the
to
stream.
with
Acorn.
Sally Acorn.
Yeah, look, compare the two together. This, not attractive. He's like totally square. This, curvature.
Built like a fridge.
Yeah, like
He's your
exactly.
toopers that
Yes,
you're
yes.
dating.
Demonetized.
Dating.
She look. The first one looks like when Britney Spears shaved her head off. I don't know why.
Sandy Cheeks is soulless versus the soul of Sally Acorn,
Sally
obviously.
Acorn.
Look at those
Also,
eyes.
What is
I
this
would just
Sally
like to
Acorn
say-
stuff? What is this?
She's from
I
Sonic.
would like to say
Rouge
I'm
the bat is the first
sad that I'm
succubus.
not in this
You created
Discord.
all succubus.
Huh?
I would just like to say I had the pleasure of meeting Jules IRL for the first time.
Wow.
And
Nice.
second
Whoa.
time this
Is
week.
he as beautiful in person as he is on?
He-
on
Wait a
the-
minute.
He is. He is very based. he invited me to his Christmas party, and then he came over yesterday, and we drank a lot of beer, and we had edibles,
and we experimented,
played video games,
Yeah.
and we ordered Greek food, and there was no sex involved. Gio, you sicko!
Just heavy
That's
petting.
a beautiful
Just heavy
friend
petting.
date.
Just heavy. You can't resist with Jules the heavy.
Yeah, he is
petting.
so
My
beautiful.
God. You can't.
But yeah, it was nice to finally meet him in person. He lives so close by to me; it's insane.
Where are you from?
Upper East Side.
Oh, cool.
Well, that's where I live. I'm from Long Island.
Now he's going to have an army of women that are just trying to hunt for him around because of women posting else.
I was literally just north of you, man. Like right in the Thousand Islands on the St. Lawrence River.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I just moved back to BC though. Fuck. Needed some mountains in my life.
Yes, I feel you.
Yeah, I'm at my parents' house on Long Island now for a week. I just got in today, so.
Gorgeous area, man. How's the snow?
Not too bad, thankfully. I was also when it was snowing in New York last week. I stayed inside for like 4 days straight.
Yeah, we didn't have that many snow here in Ontario. We had a little bit. Toronto got hit pretty worse.
Snow and bad
I
don't
had
go
food,
together.
and I was lazy, and then I got some Chinese delivered, and I'm like, I'm fucking set. And I was playing Cyberpunk too, so that was the main reason why, not because of the snow.
Yeah,
Nice. Well, guys,
I gotta go. I gotta go make knives and cool war hammers and shit with my old lady before she gets more mad at me.
Well,
It
guys,
was awesome.
this is it.
Hopefully,
This
I'll
is
see
it.
you guys soon.
Nice
Dave,
talking
I will
to
see you
you.
soon.
Yeah, nice to meet you, bro.
Yeah, add me on Twitter at Riffle87, RIFFLE 87. Peace, guys.
Peace. So this is a great stream as usual. We're gonna be saying our goodbyes right now. James, I know you came in kind of late. Any final thoughts on drugs in general before we head off?
I think the fact that New York, which is one of the biggest liberal hellholes in the world, does not have legal weed yet is absolutely insane to me. That now I have to take the fucking PATH train to Jersey like a loser to get
Jersey
instead. Which is fucking retarded.
Wait, how many people on this fucking podcast smoke weed consistently? Hold on. Like, how many?
I used to. I haven't since October.
It's an epidemic, dude.
I eat edibles because edibles are fun.
It's an epidemic. Everyone in America under the age of 40 smokes weed.
Yeah, I used to smoke weed like literally all day, every day, but I
Weed's
stopped.
fucking boring.
I like
weed,
just
Hell
having edibles.
Yeah, but
usually
in
by
Britain, you
myself
guys
late
take
at
pills
night.
and coke all day.
Yeah, Britain is fucking boring. That's the problem.
No, why
you
is
go
it that
outside
Britain-
and it's raining forever everywhere.
Why is it that Britain
time.
doesn't have a weed culture, but they'll take like ketamine?
Oh no, there's
or
definitely a
something?
weed culture. It's just among like what do you call them? What I don't know what the
People
word
that
is,
listen
like
to drill
immigrants.
music,
Immigrants.
cabs.
No, I know
people
the
that
people
live in
who
townies.
weed's way better for me if I wanted to earn money. Weed, because I know a guy that
Nah,
could easily like sell weed.
Brain does
Nothing
MDMA.
wrong with
Brain's
doing
into
weed. It's
ecstasy.
only when you're when
boring,
you're
though.
a
It's just
loser that
fucking
makes it your
rubbish.
personality. But
Well,
Brain
yeah, but
likes
like loads
ecstasy
of them
and
do.
and
Loads
I
of
love
people
doing
do though.
edibles,
Yeah, but
like,
that's
late
that's
at night, and I'll take edibles at like 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and I'll just fucking vibe out and then go to bed. It's the best.
Yeah, it's not like it doesn't have to be your whole life and who you are.
Yeah, I
now.
do it because it's just
Yeah.
fucking relaxing and it feels good to just go to sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's some like further goal of all this like weed stuff to like not to become more than drugs. I don't know, but that's like sounds like the
It's,
ultimate
yeah,
drug.
we were talking about it. It's like it's pacifying. It's a pacifying agent because it is. But just don't get pacified, loser. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, but
stop being
I'm
a
not saying
home-
you should ban it, but I know
But again,
people
this
that
is
basically pacify themselves.
But that's
like,
incredibly hard for most people not to fall into that trap of.
I think social media pacifies people. Social media
Yeah.
and pornography
Yeah.
pacifies
I mean, hold
people
on. Oh,
way
that's
more.
an important
I
thing.
agree with
fucking
Jugs.
fuck pornography. I've stopped masturbating to that, and also fuck Twitter. I deleted it. I know you guys love Twitter, but I'm like it's fucking bad for me. Fuck
Twitter is a weapon of
social
war.
media.
That's a you problem, baby.
Ewan. Yeah, maybe it's
Twitter
just
rocks.
you.
It is definitely.
Maybe
Oh,
you're
well, yeah.
boring and you
You're like-
can't handle Twitter.
Oh!
God, is
That's your
that
No,
problem.
it's true. I literally can't live without
Nah.
Twitter. I hate to say
No,
it.
I agree.
Yeah.
All
I
these
feel
things
better
have
without
their-
Twitter, and I know
many
that
great
Mr.
people because of Twitter, and that's including
Yeah, but I can meet people in other ways. I don't need to meet people in ways. I met them here. I met them from YouTube. I didn't meet them from Twitter. I met them here.
A significant
but
part
if
of
it
who I
wasn't-
am
I've
was
reached out
But
to
if
me
it wasn't
on
for
Twitter,
Twitter,
so,
I hate to say it.
But if it
there's
wasn't
that.
for Twitter, we wouldn't have found this. And
Yeah,
therefore
and I've
you
made so many
never
other
would
great
have found-
friends from Twitter. Actually, honestly, this month I've mostly been hanging out with friends.
As long
from
as you
Twitter.
don't accept
It
Twitter
rules.
isn't a permanent thing. It's not. It's the fact that you found people that are similar. It's not really Twitter. Like could you?
Well,
would just
I
rather
think
the
there's a
pizza-
higher
You don't just
likelihood.
find similar retards in the wild that easily.
Especially in Canada,
Walking
man.
groups.
Yeah.
Walking groups, man.
You really think I'm
I
going to
do.
find that many retards like myself just going to bars and like meeting
No, I
friends of
think that
friends?
on
Of course
Twitter,
not.
the nature of the platform, there's a significantly higher chance that you could find people that you vibe with on Twitter than say Facebook groups or whatever. I think
Instagram or
that
anything like
other
that.
social media, Instagram, because other social media platforms have been totally colonized. And
you and are you in more rural England?
I used to be right now. I'm in like some. I like in like Sheffield kind of area. Like normally, I like Sheffield a lot. Like Sheffield's chill.
To me, that
Near the
feels a
peaks.
little bit more the community would allow for an environment that's more like that. If you live in, there's a lot of areas, man, where it's not simple to find, especially like-minded people of this ilk, because we.
Well, that's
we
why I
all have
fucking
some-
moved to Sheffield's fucking nice. I found a good place. Meetup's good. That's how I met the fucking meeting my friends, meeting the nice lady friend as well.
Oh,
it does,
damn,
it
look
does
at
scare.
that.
It does scare me though how a significant part of my life has been dominated by Twitter. I hate to say.
Is that why you're a virgin, Gio? Is that why?
No, it could be. No, well,
fucking.
By the
Twitter.
way, Gio, I love the hairstyle you got going on, the wavy. It's
I'm
really
becoming
cool.
more like Lev now. I can't. I'm the
Yeah, I think you guys are merging in a way.
Gio, Gio, how many press ups have you done today, or like attempted press up, like in the step to doing a press up?
press up?
I'm gonna keep mentioning now, like press up, push up. Every time you
I've
don't
done
do
my
something
leg
towards.
exercises today.
Yes, no, but have you done your? You need to. I'm gonna. Every time we're on this now, we're having an exercise fucking diary with Gio, because I'm gonna make Gio fucking buff. Because I was fat at one point. You can. It's not too late. It's never too late, Gio. So we're gonna fucking right now or like after this, you're gonna do some fucking more exercise. I'm telling you.
Well, I've done. No, I did a lot of planks today because of my core, my hips were a bit sore. I usually
we're gonna do
I
more.
usually do the resistance bands. I haven't been keeping it up like with my walks because of my fucking ankle from last month. But now my ankle is pretty much normal, so I'm starting to slowly.
And I believe in you, Gio. I believe because
I
I'm
believe
here.
in
We're
you,
here.
Gio, as well.
We're here.
We all believe in you.
Oh,
We're
thank
gonna
you,
force
boys.
DMT down your throat. Exactly.
I believe in all of you.
And we're not gonna. You're not gonna go the Chris Chan route. You're gonna become the Chad Enlightened Gio.
You know what's
route,
funny now
our
that you
end.
guys are saying this about me? It's some guy on. I got a really good Curious Cat. I was just browsing because, like, I clean it out like once a month or something. And he said, like,
Clean the
Gio.
cat litter.
Yeah, I cleaned the cat litter. He said that Gio. He goes, the problem is the track record of fat e-celebs isn't good. There's Ethan Ralph, Metcha Bernald, Camp-Up. They all go crazy after a while. He goes, you have to buck the trend, Gio. I believe in you. You could buck the trend. I go, wow, that's fucking crazy. I'll try to buck the trend. I'll try not to fall into the throes and vagrancies of cringe.
You
So,
will
like, Ethan
stand.
Ralph.
That's impossible. It's not
beyond
going to
based.
happen. You are.
With-
you are
with-
fine.
We have
based
a
cringe.
comment from Super Iron Bob. Advice.
What would you say,
personally.
Verse?
I said you will ascend. You'll be beyond base and cringe.
I'm gonna
Yes,
cry
exactly.
so hard if
Beyond
Gio becomes
basting
the next
cringe.
countbot.
We have a comment from Super. Oh, by the way, shit. Super Iron Bob. He gave us $5 today, 5 smackaroos, and because
Nice.
because my laptop is currently being used for this, it's difficult for me to look at stuff. So here's what we're gonna do. Gio, can you do the people in the audience shout outs, and I am going to search for Super Iron Bob's message.
I'll try. Let me just go to. Oh, by the way, speaking of Twitter friends, the one person I met IRL is my good friend Goran. So shout out to GSP on Twitter. Let me just try to. I'm trying to get to the.
George St. Pierre? What do you mean GSP?
Dude, you know
That's
Rush?
his handle, not George St. Pierre, but no.
That would be fucking insane. He's like, I love Dennis.
No, it would be amazing if I knew George St.
I love Dennis. I love rap there. Dude, I fucking love GSP, man. What a hero.
Oh boy. I
Did you
love
hear-
how GSP talks about how he doesn't like the act of fighting itself,
Yeah,
but
he's
he
scared.
likes the ability to get
fight.
ready. Like
Yeah, he loves the preparation. He loves the mental work, everything that leads into going into a fight, but he hates the actual act of fighting.
and the ability like to train your body to get to the point where you can
Exactly,
actually
where you're
survive
ready
the
to
fight.
fucking go to war. Yeah.
So this is the YouTube ones. I don't know. Well, Lev has to do the D live because I should go to Discord, but so
they're all in the same place.
Yeah. So we have all C. We got Let's Do It Together. Wong Kar-wai superfan. XO, suck it. So we have. Let's get ready to suck it. We have SS.
Let's get ready to suck it.
Wait, we have the SS in the chat.
Got info all up as well.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat. So we have SS, one small S, one big S. We got Info Warlock, the great Info Warlock.
Yes.
We got the great Aman Sadhu.
$50 patron, Aman Sadhu.
Great
Aman is to
empowerment.
Aman.
Yeah.
Shout out to Aman.
So
Martin
powerful,
K,
he
Super
made
Iron
them quit.
Bob. Yeah, shout out to Aman. Who else we got? Engineer. That's a true capitalist radio reference. We have Super Iron Bob.
Who was also a $50 patron, by the way.
Yeah.
Ian Sile was in there earlier.
Wait,
Shout
I
out
don't
to
follow. I
him.
thought I followed Info Warlock back on Twitter. I have to
We got
rectify
the
this.
great. We got Buff. We got
Buff.
Bulat Usmanov. And
Ooh.
also, well, here we go. Here is the message from Super Iron Bob's $5 donation. Thank you so much, Super Iron Bob. My pet perspective, not addressed on stream. Weed is a lost fight. By keeping it illegal, we make people an adversary to the legal system. A society can only tolerate so much casual contempt of its institutions.
Good point.
So there we go.
All right.
I agree.
Well,
with that.
guys, this is it. This is the end of the stream.
But I
love
missed it.
you
What
all.
was that? I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, here. It was a comment that Super Iron Bob said. My pet perspective, not addressed on stream. Weed is a lost fight. By keeping it illegal, we make people an adversary to the legal system. A society can only tolerate so much casual contempt of its institutions.
Yes. Yes. The more things are illegal, the more people will hate the institutions that make them illegal. And
I very-
Acceleration right there.
Yes.
I very
First-
coincidentally happened to have done a topic of drugs on my most recent podcast. So if you'd like to hear my thoughts in detail about every class of drug I could think of at the time,
Subscribe to the
Yes,
versions
version
podcast.
4 is an
Yeah.
excellent
Version
podcast.
4.
Version 4
Yeah,
is
I'm
an
gonna
excellent
show the
podcast.
Skinwalker tapes really quick too. Listen to them Saturdays. D Lives. What is D Live? I don't even know what D Live. It's Yakov Alive on D Live.
Oh, also, we have
TV.
App Fada
There's
in the
probably
chat.
great.
App Fada, who
App
says,
Fada.
"Cool TCR." Yeah, I really should keep up with what Ghost is doing, but now that he's on like a million different channels, I don't really know what Ghost is doing right now.
And
True
also
Capitalist Radio.
support versus Patreon version 4 podcast. Here
Yeah,
is the
man.
link. Go
And
there.
Substack,
Please
and Verse
support.
has a Substack.
I do have a Substack.
Oh,
It hasn't
nice.
been paid yet though. But
Mm.
if you support the Patreon, I will automatically import you into the Substack.
I'm thinking of moving to that model of Substack and Patreon because my
I have
website is close to being finished now. So
Nice. James, do you have anything to plug?
He's got everything to plug, man. It's James.
James, can you hear me?
He's
James.
being black. So no.
MK Ultra Money
He's
Podcast.
being
MK Ultra Money
Whoa,
Podcast.
okay, he's back. He's back.
He's
James,
back.
what do you have to plug?
It lagged hard. I heard you say my name, and then it just started like cutting out.
Oh
What
shit!
do you
Yeah, you're
have to
being
plug?
black.
What do I have to plug? As always, Bad Filmcast on Spotify, rebranding as MK Ultra Money for season 2 coming next year. Hopefully in February. MK Ultra Money on Twitter. Women posting L's on Twitter. You know the account by now. Come on, guys.
Everybody
check out
does.
Bad Filmcast on Spotify and all the other shit. And season 2 coming soon, baby.
Yeah.
Patreon, subscribe to Break the Rules, subscribe to fucking Bad
Yeah, subscribe.
Filmcast, subscribe to fucking
subscribe.
whoever has a Patreon
Patreon,
on here.
more important.
Just
And don't-
show
and
the
don't-
money. What else are you gonna spend it on? Alcohol? Come on.
Yeah, it's over.
Women,
It's over.
are
We're in
you
the new
kidding
era
me?
right now. Saturn has overtaken Jupiter, and it's going to be either easier or harder for us now. However it's going to be,
Go
it's
off.
going to be a wild fucking ride. I am ready for it. You are ready
I got
for
big
it. We are
plans
ready
for
for it.
2021. Put it that way. I got big
Hells
plans.
yeah. Hells to the yeah.
Yeah.
Big
And guys,
grifting plans.
Big dicks in your
Well,
ass.
speaking of grift, if you become a
You better be slinging
$20
dick.
If you become a $20 patron, you are going to get my father's beautiful magnets, completely original, and this recurs each year. If you become a $30 patron, you are going to get Giovanni Panicetti's absolutely beautiful print. Here it is in action, just so you can see it. I'll figure out a way for you guys to see
I'm
it
still
too in
waiting.
the Zoom call. But it's a very beautiful print, and oh, you are okay, Gio. You better you gotta send this to Martin. So it's time. And wait, Martin, which tier are you? You're 20, right?
I'm not sure. I think I'm
Okay.
30. I've been
30.
in correspondence with Geo. I've sent him my address before.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
did
get.
it? I think I sent it. Did it? I think I yes, I sent it. I don't know if it's taking
It's
too long. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
it is
fuck.
Norway, so that's you know.
Norway, so it's gonna take some time. No
Yeah,
problem.
more like Snorway. So.
It's
Are you
Got
are-
him.
You're not near Bergen, like well, Verge lives in France now, but that's where.
Bergen is a rainy city on the west coast. I'm in the capital, Oslo.
Oh,
we
you're
haven't
you're right in
had-
Oslo then. Yeah.
Just like my friend Shabana Rehman, who I hope we can get
Yeah.
on the show as well. So
That
and
would be
also
amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Shabana is totally great, and she just had an amazing article posted in our newspapers.
Really, what's the
that
article?
I
What's
was
the
go-
article about?
I'm gonna link it to you, Lev. It's too much to take here now, but I'm gonna link it to you. It's very good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, and $50
And also
patrons. Yes.
an extended invitation for everybody. If you ever come to Norway, at least I'm gonna take you out, and if we have
Thank
time,
you.
I'm gonna take you to the
Thank
cabin
you.
in the picture.
Oh, that's beautiful.
that is-
What a beautiful
Nice.
Look at that cabin. I want to take a closer look at that cabin and also tell everybody what you are going to get
Feel
when
like
you become
painting
a
that
$50.
cabin.
It's such a beautiful cabin.
Dude,
What are you
meta.
going to get as a wait? Why can't I? Oh, because I first have to click this. Never mind. Or maybe okay, whatever. The point is that $50 patrons are going to get a custom
dick in
wooden
their ass.
magnet. Custom wooden magnet in addition to the magnet
and other
the beautiful
tiers.
print. And Geo, you are adding one more thing to the $50 tiers, which is
One of
what?
my Bob Ross painting sketches, quick sketches. So that I do in under 15 minutes or less. You will get one of my Bob Ross paintings. So there you go.
Excellent. All
Very
right, guys,
fantastic.
this is it. This is the official end of the stream. I really appreciate everybody watching. Please subscribe. I am searching for the right link to press. Here we go. We are ending the stream. Mwah! Good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody.